Welcome to a meeting of your Planning Commission, the official local planning agency for the cities of Tampa, Temple Terrace, Plant City, and unincorporated Hillsborough County. The Planning Commission provides innovative leadership and long-range vision that contributes to the creation of a thriving, prosperous community that offers opportunity, fairness, and choice in how we live, move, learn, work, and play. For more information about the Planning Commission, please call 813-272-5940. Follow us on social media or visit our website at planhillsborough.org.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the January 9th, 2023 public hearings of the Planning Commission on the City of Plant City Comprehensive Plan Amendments. We thank you for attending this meeting. Your comments and participation are encouraged. For those attending in person and wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign the register at the rear of the room and turn off any devices that may be a distraction. To minimize feedback in the audio, all online participants in the meeting will be muted until it is their opportunity to speak. Planning commissioners should unmute themselves to indicate that they would like to speak. Please be sure to state your name at the beginning of your remarks for the benefit of the clerk. There will be an opportunity for members of the public to provide comments when your name is called. You will be unmuted when it is your turn to speak. Please wait until the chair calls on you to begin speaking. State your name at the beginning of your comments and adhere to the time limits. If anyone has difficulties or is watching via HTV and would like to provide comments to be included in the record for the local government hearing, please email them to planner@plancom.org. That's planner@plancom.org. For those of you who are not familiar with our process, the meeting will be conducted as follows. The agenda item will be introduced. Staff will give their presentation with a 15-minute time limit. The applicant will be given the opportunity to make a presentation with a 15-minute time limit. Following presentations, members of the public may address the Planning Commission when recognized by the chairman. Public comment will be heard for 3 minutes per person. The applicant will be afforded a 3-minute period for rebuttal or response. Planning commissioners will then ask questions. Public comment will be closed. Then upon a motion, a second, and discussion, a vote will be taken. With that, I'd like to ask the clerk to go ahead and call roll, please.
Good evening, commissioners. Bernstein?
Here.
Bowden?
Here.
Buzza? Commissioner Buzza? Cardenas? Commissioner Cardenas? Fernandez?
Here.
Kress?
Here.
Lauk?
Here.
Soria?
Here.
Orton? Commissioner Orton? Rodriguez?
Here.
Joseph?
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you. All right. Our first and only item on this agenda is 2A PCCPA 22-08 Future Land Use Map Amendment west of County Line Road and south of Medulla Road, and the presenter is Krista Kelly.
Thank you. Krista Kelly, Planning Commission staff. This evening I'm presenting to you Plant City Comprehensive Plan PC CPA 2208. This is a privately initiated small-scale amendment located in the jurisdiction of Plant City. This amendment is one of 7 parcels annexed into Plant City as part of a recent city referendum focused on promoting an industrial corridor along County Line Road. This site is approximately 41 acres in size and is currently used for agricultural purposes. Currently, the site is designated Hillsborough County Residential 1, and the applicant is requesting a change to Plant City Industrial. On the right, you see the Plant City Vision Map, the gold star. I'm sorry, my cursor has disappeared. There we go. The gold star on the right-hand side of the map shows the location of the amendment site. It's in the southeast quadrant of the vision map along County Line Road, which again is recognized as an industrial corridor. The vision map identifies the area at, nearby the amendment site as an existing and emerging industrial area. The amendment site is located just south of the shaded area on the west side of County Line Road, specifically north of McElvin Avenue, east of South Wiggins Road, south of Medulla Road, and west of County Line Road. This is an aerial intended to show the area immediately surrounding the amendment site in greater detail. The site is surrounded, the surrounding area is characterized by an established rural residential development pattern, including rural home sites, rural estates, scattered agricultural uses to the north, west, and south. To orient you to this location, the roadways surrounding the site again include Medulla Road to the north, up here, County Line Road to the east, over here, McEvelyn Road to the south, and that's down here, and South Wiggins Road to the west. Access to the site is intended to be solely off of County Line Road due to plans to locate a stormwater pond along the western portion of the amendment site in this area, which also fronts on South Wiggins Road. The next slides I'd like to show you illustrate the distinctly different development patterns existing and expanding to the north and south of the site at a greater distance. This area shows the development pattern along County Line Road, which is the center road, both in Hillsborough County and Polk County, north of the amendment site. Traveling north from the subject site, the development pattern in Hillsborough County transitions from one characterized by low-density residential to an area that's industrial and commercial in character. This transition is apparent less than half a mile north of the subject property. On the Polk side to the north, there are multiple industrial facilities and parks that increase in intensity and number as you travel towards I-4. The industrial character on the Polk County side is established and large in scale. Like the previous slide, this aerial shows the development pattern along County Line Road looking southward. The development pattern in Hillsborough County reflects the rural residential and agricultural community which exists currently and which becomes predominantly agricultural in character the further you travel south towards State Road 60. On Polk County's side of the road, the area is similar to that in its rural character with larger expanses of undeveloped land and few scattered home sites on large tracts. Next, I'll show you the street view of the amendment site and surrounding areas. This is looking southward from County Line Road at the amendment site. This is looking at a church fronting on County Line Road north of the subject property. Going approximately a half a mile north, this is a warehouse under construction, reflecting the transitioning of this area from a residential area to an industrial area. And then further northward, this is a warehouse approximately 2,600 feet from the north side of the site. This is one of multiple warehouses and distribution centers. This is looking across the street, across County Line Road at Spring Hill Cemetery, which is in Polk County. Now we're looking south at the adjacent homes along McElvin Avenue. This is looking from South Wiggins Road, looking east at the amendment site. And this is a home in the southwestern corner of the subject property. It's one home. The majority of the site is agricultural. This is looking north on Wiggins Road, demonstrating the rural residential character of the area. And this is looking south on South Wiggins Road. This is the adopted future land use map. The amendment site and the surrounding areas are shaded in light green, which reflects the Hillsborough County Residential 1 land use category. The Residential 1 category is intended to recognize existing rural communities and to accommodate other agriculturally related uses that support the rural community. The inset map on the left-hand side shows the areas annexed as a result of the city's 2022 referendum discussed earlier. The annexed properties, including the subject site, as you see, provide an extension from the existing terminus of the industrial corridor, and that would be up here. It's anticipated that these properties involved in the annexation will likely transition from residential to industrial and commercial over time due to the location's high accessibility to major transportation facilities from County Line roads such as I-4 to the north and State Road 60 to the south. This is the proposed future land use map showing the site designated industrial. Again, you can see that this site, while on this map appears to be standing alone, it is actually annexed in along with other properties to the north. The city limits do extend to encompass these properties, and the map is in the process of being updated. This slide shows the potential impacts based on the proposed land use change from Hillsborough County Residential 1 to Plant City Industrial. Under the current Residential 1 category, up to 41 dwelling units and approximately 456,000 square feet of office and commercial uses, subject to meeting certain locational criteria, could be developed on site. Under the proposed Plant City Industrial category, residential uses would be eliminated and up to approximately 912,000 square feet would be allowable. In summary, the proposed change to the industrial category would significantly increase the potential amount of non-residential development square footage. It would introduce the range of uses. It would introduce a range of new uses associated with residential uses on site, and then again, it would eliminate the potential for residential development. This amendment was distributed for agency comment, including the adjacent jurisdiction in Lakeland. The city of Lakeland did provide comments regarding design and access concerns, which was noted to be addressed at the zoning stage. Based on the lack of an accompanying in-depth transportation analysis, Hillsborough County's Community and Infrastructure Planning Department objected to this amendment, although staff notes that these concerns are addressed by the jurisdiction at a later date in the review process. Plant City's Utility Department also noted that water and wastewater services can be met by available capacity. Staff reviewed the amendment for consistency with the objectives and policies of the comprehensive plan and find the proposed change to industrial consistent with the following sections: related to community development, which includes strategies for orderly and efficient future growth and annexations, general development strategies that address complementary transitions of uses and encourages compatibility between uses, the provision of public facilities with policies and objectives that seek to ensure that the surrounding area and site are adequately served with infrastructure, and the economic development section, which outlines strategies to encourage the creation of high-quality jobs and other opportunities to enhance the community. The relevant objectives and policies are in your packet for reference and detailed information. Following this hearing, the amendment, this is a schedule for this plan amendment, and following this hearing, the amendment will be forwarded to the Planning Board on January 25th, and then sent to forwarded to the City Commission. It's projected to be February 27th. Based on this review and finding, Planning Commission staff recommends that PC CPA 2208 be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Plant City Comprehensive Plan and forward this recommendation to the Plant City Commission. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions, and the applicant is also here.
Does the applicant have a presentation?
Mr. Chair, before that,
Yes.
I forgot to call Commissioner Handy for the roll call. Is she there?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I apologize.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Phil Waldron, 2736 Gulf Lake Drive, Plant City, Florida. We concur with the staff and their recommendation. And just a couple quick comments. The overall, the 912,000 square feet, in actuality, we've already done the PD plan. It's going through the process right now with the city. And we'll be going to the planning board probably, I think, the end of this month. And we're looking at about 540,000 square feet. With regard to transportation, as Kristen mentioned, in Plant City, they do the traffic analysis at the zoning phase, and we've already done a traffic analysis, and we're getting ready to do a review with the, City of Lakeland and Polk County. And Stan, answer any questions.
Thank you. All right. I will open it up to public comment on this one. Did we have anyone sign up? Nope. All right. No one signed up for public comment, so I will turn it over to the commissioners for questions or discussions of this item. All right, not seeing any questions at this time, then I'll go on ahead and close the public comment on this item and open it up to motions from the commissioners on this item. Commissioner Bernstein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, I would move that we find Plant City Comprehensive Plan Amendment 22-08 consistent with the goals, policies, and objectives of the Plant City Comprehensive Plan, and that we pass it along to the Plant City Commission for their consideration.
All right, that's a motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Bernstein. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
All right, that's a second to that motion by Commissioner Soria. Motion is consistent again. Is there any more questions or any more discussions from the commissioners on this item? Not seeing any, I will ask the clerk to go ahead and do a roll call vote on this item.
Bernstein?
Yes.
Bowden?
Yes.
Fernandez?
Yes.
Handy?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Lauk?
Yes.
Soria?
Yes.
Joseph?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 8-0.
Thank you. All right, that was our only item on the agenda for that public hearing, so I will adjourn that public hearing right now at 5:51, and I will read us into our next public hearing, if you'll bear with me for just a moment. Welcome to the January 9th, 2023 public hearing on City of Temple Terrace Comprehensive Plan Amendments. We thank you for attending this meeting. Your comments and participation are encouraged. For those attending in person and wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign the register at the rear of the room and turn off any devices that may be a distraction. To minimize feedback in the audio, all online participants in the meeting will be muted until it is their opportunity to speak. Planning commissioners should unmute themselves to indicate that they would like to speak. Please be sure to state your name at the beginning of your remarks for the benefit of the clerk. There will be an opportunity for members of the public to provide comments. When your name is called, you will be unmuted when it is your turn to speak. Please wait until the chair calls on you to begin speaking. State your name at the beginning of your comments and adhere to the time limits. If anyone has difficulties or is watching via HTV and would like to provide comments to be included in the record for local government hearing, please email them to planner@plancom.org. For those of you who are not familiar with our process, the meeting will be conducted as follows. The agenda item will be introduced. Staff will give their presentation with a 15-minute time limit. The applicant will be given the opportunity to make a presentation with a 15-minute time limit. Following presentations, members of the public may address the Planning Commission when recognized by the chairman. Public comment will be heard for 3 minutes per person. The applicant will be afforded a 3-minute period for rebuttal or response. Planning commissioners will then ask questions. Public comment will be closed, and upon a motion, a second, and discussion, a vote will be taken. With that, I'd like to ask the clerk to please call roll.
Bernstein?
Here.
Bowden?
Here.
Muzza? Cardenas? Fernandez?
Here.
Handy?
Here.
Kress?
Here.
Lauk?
Here.
Soria?
Here.
Wharton, Rodriguez,
Here.
Joseph.
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, our first and only item is 2A TTCPA 22-01, Future Land Use Map Amendment, east of North 56th Street and north of East Fowler Avenue, and the presenter is Yanika Mills.
Good evening, Commissioners. Yanika Mills, Planning Commission staff. I am here to present Temple Terrace Comprehensive Plan Amendment, Future Land Use Map Amendment, TTCPA 2201. To give you a little bit of background about this case, this is privately initiated on approximately 0.84 acres, small in scale. The subject site is in the process of being annexed into Temple Terrace. The applicant is requesting a future land use designation change from Hillsborough County's Residential 20 to Temple Terrace Residential 18. The site is located east of 56th Street, north of Fowler Avenue, west of 58th Street, and south of 122nd Avenue East. To give you some context of the area, directly south of the site is a vacant parcel. Further south of the site is a strip commercial center located here. There is an apartment complex directly north of the site. East of the site is a single-family home located here. West along 56th Street, if you are familiar with the area, is the old Golden Corral, as well as other commercial uses along 56th Street. Here is the subject site in its current state. Again, that's the Golden Corral that is directly adjacent to the west of the site. This is further north of the property, the Temper Trace Apartments. This is looking north along 58th Street. Again, this is single-family residential here. This is looking south on North 56th Street, a commercial corridor. This is looking east on East Fowler Avenue, which is another commercial corridor in the area. And this is that single-family residence that's located east of the site along North 58th Street. And this photo is looking south back toward North 58th Street and Fowler Avenue. And this is looking south. That's that small strip commercial center looking to the south of the site. Currently, the site has a future land use designation of Hillsborough County's Residential 20. As you can see here is the blue jurisdictional line, which distinguishes between the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County. Other future land use classifications in the area include Temple Terrace Commercial, which is the red here, Temple Terrace Residential 9, which is the tan color here, and then we have Temple Terrace's Residential 18 located further south. The applicant is requesting a future land use designation change to Temple Terrace's Residential 18. As for impacts, currently the site has the potential to develop out at 16 dwelling units or over 27,000 square feet of non-residential uses. If the site is approved for the residential, Temple Terrace's Residential 18, the dwelling unit count would decrease to 15, as well as a decrease in non-residential potential to 12,000 square feet. So there will be both a decrease in residential density as well as commercial office intensity. So basically a down plan. This comprehensive plan change request is consistent with the following goals, objectives, and policies. Objective 1.1 and policy 1.1.6 speak to the city form and that this area is seen as a mixed-use neighborhood. Objective 2.1 and preceding policies speak to residential uses and their proximity to non-residential uses to minimize the use of automobiles. Objective 3.2 and preceding policies speak to the provisions of Land Development Code regarding incentivizing redevelopment and infill of existing residential and commercial uses. Objective 3.5 and preceding policies speak to the transformation of multimodal corridors by providing opportunities for mixed-use development. This comprehensive plan request is also consistent with Objective 4.1 and preceding policies that speak to encouraging well-structured neighborhoods and encouraging transit-oriented development. It's also consistent with Objective 8.1 and 8.13, which speaks to providing development concurrent with the availability of public facilities. Objective 8.2 and 8.2.7, which speaks to providing incentives for public and private redevelopment, but also keeping the character of the city. This request is also consistent with 8.3, policy 8.3.7, which speaks to prioritizing infrastructure to meet the adopted level of service. The Utilities Department did provide comments that there is available capacity for this request. There were no other comments received. As for timeline, this item will be presented to the City Council, Temple Terrace City Council, at a later date to be determined. Planning Commission staff recommends that TTCPA 2201 be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Temple Terrace Comprehensive Plan, and that this recommendation be forwarded to the Temple Terrace City Council. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Does the applicant have a
The
presentation?
applicant is present.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. My name is Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451 in St. Petersburg. Unique has done a very good presentation for TTCPA 2201. I'll go over just a few highlight points. We are located obviously in the Temple Terrace area, and you've seen the location as indicated in the staff report. The critical point, as indicated in the staff report, Unique mentioned that this would be a decrease in development potential for the subject parcel, lowering the residential density and the potential commercial capacity. And as you can see, we're bordering on both sides on a commercial category now, and the change shown in colors from brown to brown. Staff analysis, as Unique has indicated to you, it furthers many of the policies of the comp plan. Staff finds the request is consistent with the vision, goals, and objectives and policy direction of the Temple Terrace Comprehensive Plan. And I have been in touch with Mr. Jaros, who's the president of the Pleasant Terrace Civic Association. I asked him if he had any comments or any questions, and he indicated that he did not have any comments to myself in any regard. So with that, I think you've been well briefed, and the staff report again covers the request very, very clearly and comprehensively. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Pressman. All right. I don't believe we had anyone sign up for public comment on this one, so I will turn it over to the commissioners for questions, comments on this one. Not seeing any at this time, then I will go on ahead and close public comment on this item and open it up to motions from the commissioners. Commissioner Fernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to move that we find the City of Temple Terrace TTCPA 2201 from Hillsborough County Residential 20 to Temple Terrace Residential 18, consistent with the Temple Terrace Comprehensive Plan, and forward this recommendation to the Temple Terrace City Council. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Loud.
Second.
All right, we have a motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Fernandez, a second to that motion by Commissioner Lauk. Is there any more questions or comments from the commissioners on this item? Not seeing any at this time. I'll ask the clerk to go ahead and do a roll call vote on this item.
Bernstein,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Fernandez,
Yes.
Handy,
Yes.
Kress,
Yes.
Louth,
Yes.
Soria,
Yes.
Joseph.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 8-0.
Thank you. All right, that was our only agenda item for that meeting, so I will go ahead and adjourn that meeting at this point in time and read us into our final one for Hillsborough County. All right. Welcome to the January 9th, 2023 public hearings of the Planning Commission on Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan Amendments. We thank you for attending this meeting. Your comments and participation are encouraged. For those attending in person and wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign the register at the rear of the room and turn off any devices that may be a distraction. To minimize feedback in the audio, all online participants in the meeting will be muted until it is their opportunity to speak. Planning commissioners should unmute themselves to indicate that they would like to speak. Please be sure to state your name at the beginning of your remarks for the benefit of the clerk. There will be an opportunity for members of the public to provide comments. When your name is called, you will be unmuted when it is your turn to speak. Please wait until the chair calls on you to begin speaking. State your name at the beginning of your comments and adhere to the time limits. If anyone has difficulties or is watching via HTV and would like to provide comments to be included in the record for local government hearing, please email them to planner@plancom.org. For those of you who are not familiar with our process, the meeting will be conducted as follows. The agenda item will be introduced. Staff will give their presentation with a 15-minute time limit. The applicant will be given the opportunity to make a presentation with a 15-minute time limit. Following presentations, members of the public may address the Planning Commission when recognized by the chairman. Public comment will be heard for 3 minutes per person. The applicant will be afforded a 3-minute period for rebuttal or response. Planning commissioners will then ask questions. Public comment will be closed. Then upon a motion, a second, and discussion, a vote will be taken. With that, I'd like to ask the clerk to please call roll.
Bernstein,
Here.
Bowden,
Here.
Buzza, Cardenas, Fernandez,
Here.
Handy,
Here.
Kress,
Here.
Louth,
Here.
Soria,
Here.
Orton, Rodriguez,
Here.
Joseph.
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you. All right. Our first item of business is action item 2A HCCPA 22-13 Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment 6359 County Road 579, and the presenter is Carla Llanos.
Good evening, Carla Llanos with Planning Commission staff. This is Plan Amendment 22-13, also known as 6359 County Road 579. The request is for a privately initiated comprehensive plan small-scale map amendment. It's on 6.16 acres, and it is going from residential 4 to light industrial plan. This plan amendment is located in the middle of the October 2022 cycle. The property is located within the limits of the Thono-Tosassa Community Plan, and it's also within the rural service area. It is again located at 6359 County Road 579, which is east of County Road 579 and south of Pruitt Road in unincorporated Hillsborough County. On this slide, we have an aerial photograph with the surrounding uses labeled. The property is located in an area with light and heavy industrial, some light commercial, and public quasi-public institutional uses. Those are mainly the predominant uses in the area. There are a few small pockets of agricultural and residential as well. Now, the subject site is currently vacant. However, to the north, northeast, west, and northwest is single-family residences. To the south is light industrial plan future land use category with warehouses and distribution center. To the southwest is a concrete manufacturing facility, and to the north is the Hillsborough County landfill. Furthermore, at Interstate I-4, County Road 579 interchange is the Lazy Days RV Sales Center and Campground. Now, PC staff conducted a site visit to the surrounding area and to the property, of course. This first picture is taken facing east or towards the middle of the property. And as you can see, you do have single-family residence towards the far backside on both sides of the property. Over towards the rear, you could slightly see the Hillsborough County landfill portion back here. These next three pictures, we're providing a view of the subject's property's frontage with Mango Road, which is also County Road 579. This one here is facing west. Here we see the beginning of the local road, also known as Thomas Road, and 579, County Road 579. And on this next picture, we have the northbound view of Mango Road. This picture shows you that there's only sidewalks along the west side of Mango Road. And this picture shows you the southbound view of Mango Road and the Amazon facility adjacent to the property. Now, the property has an adopted future land use of residential 4, which allows you residential, suburban scale, neighborhood commercial uses, offices, and multipurpose projects. The adopted Res 4 future land use category allows for a standard density of 4 dwelling units to the acre. It also allows you a 0.25 floor area ratio. Now, the subject property is surrounded by residential 4 future land use category to the northwest, northwest, and southwest. Light industrial plan future land use category is actually found to the south, and public, quasi-public FLU category is found to the east. The property, the proposed future land use is light industrial plan, as previously mentioned. It typically allows light industrial uses such as processing, manufacturing, recycling, and storage of materials. They do include some ancillary uses such as supporting offices, warehouses, and rural scale retail uses as well. Now, please note that the property does have frontage on a segment of State Road 579, which is exempt from commercial locational criteria. This is pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Board of County Commissioners. Now, going back to the light industrial plan, it does not produce any residential density, but it does allow for a floor area ratio of 0.75. Here on this screen, you have the maximum potential impacts under the Res 4 future land use category. The property will allow for 24 dwelling units or 67,000 square feet of non-residential use. Now, under the proposed future land use category, again, it produces 0 density, but it does allow for up to 201,000 square feet of non-residential use. So in summary, the proposed change would add additional non-residential intensity. However, it does eliminate the residential density and introduces the possibility of light industrial uses such as processing, manufacturing, recycling, and storage of materials. Planning Commission staff has reviewed the request for consistency with the comprehensive plan and the Thono-Tosassa community plan as well. The request is in the rural service area, and it is consistent with both those policies and the categories for the future land use. The property is changing from light industrial to light industrial planned, which will require plan development zoning. So the plan development rezoning actually allows for staff to analyze and kind of place control measures in areas that are needed for mitigation. The request is compatible with the surrounding uses. The area is developed with larger parcels, predominantly with non-residential uses. The request is also consistent with the economic policies as it eliminates the residential development potential and increases the light industrial potential, which is a major job generator for the county. The proposed CPA is consistent with the vision and intent of the Thono-Tosassa community plan. The community plan seeks out to protect the area's rural character by directing non-residential uses to specific areas. However, on December 21st, 1995, the Board of County Commissioners established a land use policy to allow some commercial office uses along County Road 579 due to a unique circumstance of the county's landfill and some existing non-residential development pattern in the area. So again, the proposed CPA is consistent with this policy direction. Planning Commission staff recommends that HC CPA 22-13 be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. And this request will go before the BOCC on January 26, 2023. I'll gladly answer any questions.
I think Mr. Pressman might have a presentation on behalf of the applicant. Microphone.
There you Good evening again, Commissioners. Todd Pressman, 202nd Avenue South, number 451 in St. Petersburg. This is HCCPA 22-13, which is a Res 4 site seeking LIP, Light Industrial Plan Development, for 6.16 acres. You've heard a good presentation from Carla. I'll cover some highlights and a few other points. We're located in the Seffner area, as you can see. It's actually two parcels together on 579, as the property appraiser has it here. There were some prior, more intensity uses on the site, but I wanted to draw out for you exactly where we're on 579. The staff report notes that the property is located in an area of light and heavy industrial, light commercial, and public quasi-institutional as the predominant uses in the area. What really drives this area is the Hillsborough County Taylor Road landfill, which is a Superfund site. It's also a household hazardous waste collection center. That's the large blue area. And as indicated and as shown, there's significant industrial uses which are new, and the site, of course, which abuts up against the landfill. And then, as Carl indicated, a little bit to the south is a heavy commercial area at the interstate of 579 and I-4. So again, that is what's driving this area primarily and predominantly. As an aerial, I'm showing you the site and the new Amazon site. Crete is across the site, which is a very heavy industrial manufacturing use. And this is a picture of the Amazon Center. If any of you have packages, you can stop by and pick them up there, or we'll pick them up for you and bring them by. And this is Cass Crete across the street. You can see the manufacturing plant in the rear, and then the intensity at the intersection. So the staff report tells you that this does further the vision and intent of the Thonotosassa Community Plan and protects the area's rural character. And importantly, as Carla referred to it, the County Commission have made a policy directive in this area that there are unique circumstances, recognizing the Taylor Road landfill, which can be a difficult land use in an area. And that directive refers to existing non-residential development pattern in the area and to support it and promote it. So with any questions, we'll be happy to answer them for you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We didn't have anyone sign up in the public comment for this one, so I will turn it over to the commissioners for questions, discussions on this item. Not seeing any lights in the room, then I will go on ahead and close public comment on this item and open it up to motions from the commissioners. Commissioner Bernstein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, I move that we find Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan Amendment 22-13 consistent with the goals, policies, and objectives of the Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, that we pass it along to the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners for their consideration.
All right, that's a motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Bernstein. Do I hear a second? Commissioner Soria?
I will second the motion.
All right, we have a second to that motion by Commissioner Soria. Are there any more questions or comments on this item from the commissioners? I'm not seeing any at this time. I'll ask clerk to go ahead and do a roll call vote on this item.
Bernstein,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yeah. Yes.
Handy,
Yes.
Kress,
Yes.
Lauk,
Yes.
Soria,
Yes.
Joseph.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 8-0.
Thank you. All right. Next up, we have item 2B, HCCPA 22-17, Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, West Hillsborough Avenue and Racetrack Road, and the presenter is Jillian Massey.
Good evening, members of the commission. This is Jillian Massey with your Planning Commission staff. This evening, I'll be presenting HCCPA 22-17, which is West Hillsborough Avenue and Racetrack Road. Some background on this application is that it's a privately initiated map amendment located on approximately 4.56 acres. It's in the urban service area and within the limits of the Northwest and Town and Country community plans. This site is also located entirely in the coastal high hazard area. This plan amendment is part of the July 2022 plan amendment cycle. It's located on the westernmost side of unincorporated county on West Hillsborough Avenue, east of Racetrack Road. This is an aerial photo of the site. As you can see, it's outlined in red on the north side of West Hillsborough Avenue. It's currently classified as vacant commercial land. Directly west of the site is classified as heavy industrial. The subject site is mainly surrounded by other light commercial and light industrial uses to the northeast and west on that side of West Hillsborough Avenue, as well as some agricultural, mobile home parks, and single-family developments on the south side of West Hillsborough Avenue. This is the adopted future land use map for the subject site, which is currently designated as light industrial. There is one parcel directly west that is designated as regional mixed use 35. However, surrounding the site along the north side of West Hillsborough Avenue corridor is mainly designated as light industrial. Along West Hillsborough Avenue to the south is designated as office commercial 20. And further away from the site, both to the north and south, is designated as residential 4. The proposal before you is to change the subject site from light industrial to regional mixed use 35, which allows residential, regional scale retail, commercial, office, and business park uses, research corporate park uses, and light industrial uses. Here's a photograph of the subject site facing north and northeast on West Hillsborough Avenue. This is facing the same direction, but a little bit wider of a view. As you can see, directly to the west of the site is light commercial and light industrial uses. This is another view of the subject site from West Hillsborough Avenue facing north. The subject site is located to the east of the billboard in this photograph. And this is facing southwest on West Hillsborough Avenue, looking across the street at looking at some of the office uses in the area. This slide outlines the potential impacts of the proposed change from light industrial to regional mixed use 35. Currently, there is no residential density permitted in the light industrial, and there's a potential non-residential development of approximately 150,000 square feet. And then the change would allow for a potential 159 dwelling units and approximately almost 400,000 square feet of non-residential development. The proposed amendment would essentially allow for an increase in density and commercial intensity, and processing and manufacturing uses would no longer be permitted. This application was sent out for agency review, and some of the comments to note would be that from the Hillsborough County Hazard Mitigation Group stated that the proposed plan amendment has been found to be high risk based on the potential of 159 dwelling units in the coastal high hazard area. Furthermore, the Office of Emergency Management noted that it would be adding unnecessary life safety hazards to an already high-risk hazard zone. And other informational comments are located in your packet for review. Planning Commission staff has reviewed the request and has found the proposal to be inconsistent with several objectives, goals, and policies in the comprehensive plan for unincorporated Hillsborough County. Some of the areas where inconsistencies were found was policies relating to the direction of growth to the urban service area and minimum density requirements. A change to the regional mixed use 35 would allow for an increase in possible density. However, due to the property's location in the coastal high hazard area, minimum density requirements do not need to be met, which is inconsistent with the intent of the growth in the urban service area. The request to increase the residential density allowed on this site does not meet the intent of policy 10.6, which discusses how density bonuses are not applicable in the coastal high hazard area. It states that in order to further direct residential population growth from vulnerable coastal areas of the county, all density bonuses outlined in the future land use element shall not be applicable to properties within the coastal high hazard area. The proposal was found to be inconsistent with Objective 16 and associated policies relating to neighborhood protection and Goal 12 of the community design component as it relates to compatibility with the surrounding uses. The intent of the Regional Mixed Use 35 is not compatible with the existing development pattern in the area. The area immediately surrounding the site to the north, east, and west is designated as light industrial and contains light commercial and light industrial uses. To the south, the featured land use category is office commercial 20 and contains mainly agricultural office uses and lower density residential development. As it relates to economic development, Policy 26.5 discusses how non-industrial land uses shall be restricted or prohibited in industrial land use categories, which this area is designated that way. And economic development areas will be preserved for employment centers. Other relevant policies that were considered and evaluated during the review were within the coastal management element, which discussed the requirements for a site plan review process for new development, where adequate data shall be provided to assess the impacts of the proposed development upon infrastructure within the coastal high hazard area. And finally, with regards to the livable communities element, the sites located within the limits of the Town and Country and Northwest Area Community Plans. The Northwest Area Community Plan seeks mixed-use neighborhoods that are pedestrian-friendly and offer a variety of housing types, while maintaining property values and the structure of the existing neighborhoods. Furthermore, the Town and Country Community Plan designates specific areas that may be developed as town centers with a mix of uses, and the subject site is not one of them. And with that in consideration, Planning Commission staff recommends that HC CPA 22-17 be found inconsistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. And I'd be glad to answer any questions. I believe the applicant is here as well.
Does the applicant have a presentation? Yep.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. Todd Pressman, 200 2nd Avenue South, number 451 in St. Petersburg. This will be a little bit longer presentation than the prior two. This is CPA 22-17. At issue is 4.56 acres, seeking to go from LI to RMU 35. Now, importantly, to drive home, RMU 35, as Jillian indicated, allows a wide range of uses. Commercial, office, light industrial is permissible, residential uses, and mixed uses. It's a very wide category. We are located at the very extremes of all your powers under Hillsborough County. We're right close to Racetrack Road at the very close border of Hillsborough County. This is how the property appraiser has the site. And as you see, there's a lot of commercial in the immediate area, and I'll talk a lot more about that. Critically important, approved next to the site abutting is RMU 35. That was approved by the Board of County Commissioners in 2018. So to drive that home, and what you did not hear from your staff clearly, and as far as we're concerned, a pivotal point is that RMU 35 exists and was approved by the Board of County Commissioners in 2018. There's been a lot of other changes in this area that I'll make you aware of that you haven't heard about, which further support this and support the request before you, which includes the current BOCC entitlements. Under the RMU 35 and this site, there are approved zoning uses of 179 hotel rooms on the property abutting, and on this property, commercial and office of 35,000 square feet. Now, you did not hear that from your staff. That is a critical component in analysis and review of this application. You cannot ignore substantial and wide-ranging commercial uses on this property and the one next door, again, that were approved by the Board of County Commissioners previously. So here are the two site plans. On the left is the hotel room, 179 rooms, and on the right is 35,000 square foot commercial office warehouse. So your staff notes that the site's surrounded by light commercial, light industrial uses north, east, and west. That's not correct, because RMU 35 is approved abutting. And there's other changes going on that I make you aware of. Again, staff recommendation, surrounded north, east, west by light industrial category. That's incorrect, because RMU 35 is approved next door on top of entitlements. When you look at another staff comment, which is on the south, the future land use categories office or office commercial 20 contains agricultural office and low density residential. We believe that's also with respect to the staff is not correct, because all you have to do is look and see that there's tremendous residential on the south, which is high dense and very nice. This is the preserve, which is in the existing immediate area to the south that I showed you, and the Sedona. And then you have a high density mobile home park, which is to the east, which is an upscale mobile home park. And then you have significant impacting commercial, which includes a large public center, which includes a low, all kinds of retail, cross-street shopping and restaurants, and you can see residential to the south, and there's also residential to the east, which I showed you as the mobile home park. All kinds of residential, all kinds of uses. Now, when you look at the future land use map, you see all gray. But the reality is it's much different when you start looking closer what the uses are and what the zoning allowed uses are. When you look at the zoning map, you can see there's a lot of colors that start to emerge, which includes CG and other commercial uses and the residential, which is 316 multifamily and 25 single family basically across the street, CG across the street, CG all along Hillsborough, mobile home park. To the north is the Monroe's Prestige Plaza, which has not been successful, which has 125,000 square feet of commercial general. They do have big box and manufacturing, but that has not been successful. In fact, retail uses have been opening up more and more in the Monroe's Prestige Center, which is directly to the north. And to the west is all commercial. Now, I do want to note for you one site here. If you note the 2022 mini storage, which is across the street next to the produce farm, that is the most recent zoning. And I would submit to you, commissioners, that as the most recent zoning of 2022, mini storage is primarily for residential use. If it was for business, industry, or warehouse, it would be, or manufacturing, it would be a large warehouse. But mini storage is used by residential. So even the most rezoning change that occurred, we would submit to you is residential oriented. And when you look at the existing land uses, and this is from your staff report, we only come to one conclusion, which is that this is a site that has been in transition because the industrial manufacturing is not working. Switching subjects, as a result of the state mandated planning and work since 1992 for mitigation, if there's residential, and again, RMU35 is a wide range of uses, we check with county authorities on the Pinellas side, because we're right at the Pinellas border, and they reported to us that they have plenty of capacity in their shelter. And in Hillsborough County, we spoke with Kathy Miller, who's the Mass Care Emergency Management Officer, and she, quote, told us there is large capacity for this site. And any use is going to have to be mitigated. It's going to have to be raised. We all know it has to be raised above storm levels so it stays dry. But most importantly, Mr. Chairman and board members, there are many comp plans policies that you have not heard about that do tremendously support this request. The first is transportation, and the most important is that the transportation element tells you to offer incentives for higher land use densities and intensities along transit emphasis local service corridors. And I'm going to show you that this is a significant corridor in many directions for transportation. These are brand new housing section text amendments. So I talked about transportation. Now this is your housing section under the comp plan. Plan for future residential growth near bus emphasis corridors. Consider interrelated approach to increase housing along multimodal transportation networks and promote infill development within the service area. Now, Hillsborough Avenue and this route carries 58,000 vehicles per day and is a formal truck route. But more importantly, this roadway that we are located on is serviced both by HART and PSTA. PSTA offers a route pickup and drop off. You can have discounted rides to and from wherever you're going to the bus stop or other areas along that route. They also offer discounted Uber, Lyft taxis because it is a major transportation corridor. That's where you want density. Route 812, which is a part of, is one of the most busiest route that HART has. They note Route 34 that ties into it is the second highest rider frequency in their studies. They look at doubling the frequency and extension into Oldsmar, which would be directly on this route along the extension from Hillsborough County. They are also adding a new paratransit service, which would be a call service for anyone needing paratransit service for pickup and drop-off. That would be provided by PSTA. And under your transportation element, it specifically notes Hillsborough Avenue tied into the Northwest Transfer Center, which all those routes tie into. So again, under transportation element, which you did not hear anything from your staff on transportation policies nor housing policies, you should have incentives for higher land use densities, which is what we're seeking to do. Now, multimodal, the CSX Railway runs directly behind this site and is proposed to drop into the flea market, which is right at Racetrack Road. So this will be a future multimodal site. So it is an intensive one-of-a-kind transit scenario, plus existing intensive entitlements that have been approved by the Board of County Commissioners, both on land use and zoning, plus large shelter capacity. Seeking RMU 35 includes those wide range of uses. Now, when you look at the Northwest Plan, what the Northwest Plan wants is creation of compact mixed-use neighborhoods with economic vitality, mobility, and connectivity, which is what this site promotes. And when you look at the figure, which is a little bit hard to see, it shows a residential development for this particular location. That's the best blow-up there is from those plans, which is a live, work, play. Planning Commission 2040 visual conclusion, we all know what live, work, play is. This would reduce red tape and make it easier to build developments to walk between home, shopping, work, and entertainment. Northwest Area Plan, same thing. Activities of daily living should occur within walking distance, walkable neighborhoods. And that's what this is. This site would be connected to the RMU 35, which is directly connected to the large shopping center with a large array of retail users across the street. And when you look at the walkable or perhaps 1 or 2 minute drives, you have large corporate parks, including Nielsen, United Healthcare, Microlumen, and many others. You have a smaller corporate park. You have downtown Oldsmar. You have the rail station and flea market in Tampa Bay Downs. That meets, as far as we're concerned, the Northwest Vision Plan. Compact mixed-use neighborhoods with economic vitality, mobility, and connection to encourage a desired community pattern. So the staff analysis repeats that. And also notes the Town and Country Community Plan designates specific areas that may be developed as a town center with a mix of uses, and the subject site is not one of them. We believe, with respect to the staff, that that's not the case, that this is a intense activity area that this would be a part of. And I'll also say that we have had zero opposition. There's been no calls, no letters, no emails, no community groups in opposition, no individual residents in opposition. We have not heard from anyone. So in summary, our opinion, we ask your consideration, is that this area is in transition. Between the BOCC votes, the uses, the most recent changes, the successful activity that's been promoting. The RMU allows many of those uses. The existing entitlements for commercial office and warehouse were not calculated into the staff review. It is unique, extreme transit, large shelter capacity, and zoning entitlements. There are other critical compound policies that directly apply to the site that were not included in the staff report. There's existing high-density residential in the OC20 to the south. I've talked about the Northwest Community Plan and the Plan Commission's Northwest Community Plan for proposed use and development. And again, no opposition for live, work, play. We'll be happy to answer any questions you might have, and we appreciate your patience and consideration.
Thank you. All right. I have one name maybe, I think, but it's all kind of scribbled up in here. William Malloy, possibly, who signed up for public comment on this one. Next case, okay. All right.
You want to speak in support? No?
All right. In that case, we did not have anyone sign up for this one on the public comment side. So I will, in that case, turn it over to the commissioners for questions, comments, discussion on this item. Not seeing any, seeing Commissioner Kress move.
Could we have staff respond to the applicant's presentation? That'd be okay.
Madam Commissioner, is there something specific that you wanted to have a response to, or?
Well, I mean, he kind of got me at the transit emphasis corridor.
Okay.
You know, just when he showed the kind of the full picture of the development in the area.
Hold on just a sec. This is Jillian Massey again with Planning Commission staff. In the research that I've done, my understanding is that there's only one route that goes through this specific area of West Hillsborough Avenue. It does seem to run hourly, but the closest stop is the Oldsmar Flea Market, which is approximately half a mile away from the site. And I think the main concern for us is the fact that this site is located entirely in the coastal high hazard area, and that we would be adding a significant amount of residential density. And so the concern is that, you know, in the event of a you know, flooding event or something like that, based on the information as far as, you know, this may be a transit emphasis corridor. I don't know what, you know, is upcoming or what is planned, but as far as what is currently existing, I don't know that it's significant enough to support that type of density. And essentially that would mean asking folks to walk a half a mile with their belongings in the event of a flooding disaster. That's kind of our interpretation as far as the transit side of it goes. You know, the applicant mentioned discounted Ubers and Lyfts. I can't really speak to any of that. But based on the research that I did, there was just the one route that goes through there, and there is no, you know, immediate stop outside of the site. And again, I think that the concern is going from 0 residential density to a potential 35 dwelling units per acre. And, you know, I can't really speak to the site directly adjacent to the west. That was approved in 2018. My understanding is that Planning Commission staff did not support that application at the time, although it did ultimately get approved by the board.
That was going to be my next question. I feel like we've seen this area for a while, and it'd be maybe beneficial, especially for some of the newer commissioners, to get a kind of a briefing on what's happened in the past, if possible.
Sure. In 2018, there was that adjacent amendment that Jillian's accurate. Staff did not support, but the board ultimately approved. This site was before you all about a year ago, estimate, I don't know, and was ultimately not supported by the Board of County Commissioners to make the change. They were requesting a different land use category, so now they've come back with the RMU 35. The issue for staff continues to be the same one, that we believe there's clear policy direction in the comprehensive plan to discourage additional density in the coastal high hazard area. And particularly with having county agency comments on record, like Jillian described, about putting people in harm's way. That's this isn't the location for that. There are a number of places where we're looking to encourage higher density development along transit corridors, but specifically as we are looking at that analysis, we are not putting that in the coastal high hazard area. Additionally, I would just add that the area surrounding it is predominantly non-residential uses. That is what has been planned for this area for quite some time. And I think there is also an underlying concern that we may be creating some incompatibilities of having residential right next to light industrial, because that's what's allowed on the site to the east. So that's a consideration as well.
Commissioner Handy.
Thanks for some of that background, because that does shed light on it. But I'd like to commend the staff. I think they did a really good and thorough analysis. And the one thing that strikes me is the applicant's presentation concerning the availability of shelters. I've heard that mitigating circumstance in the past, and that does not address getting the residents, the up to 160 new residential units, to those shelters along those roadways that already have some residential, even though that's not the dominant land use, as you pointed out, Melissa, but there are existing residential areas that are already going to be under those evacuation pressures. So I do not feel that pointing to availability within nearby shelters is mitigates for that issue.
Thank you, Commissioner Handy. Very good comments, all very good comments. Yes, Commissioner Lau.
I think this is an interesting case. This is at least the second application we've seen in this area for large-scale development in the past 4 or 5 months. My thoughts are, I think this is a case where the long-term vision does not comport really with what's happening in the marketplace. We have a major transit corridor with an eight-lane road in Hillsborough County. We have RMU 35 next door. We have multifamily residential density directly to the south with a trailer park next to it. We have a Publix, a Lowe's, a bunch of small-scale retail in the immediate vicinity, right? What we're planning in the long term isn't comporting with what's there today. We have a bus line along this route. We're trying to drive walkable neighborhoods. We're trying to drive less driving. All those criteria are met. And it seems to me we're really just hanging our denial on the high coastal hazard area. And we've seen BOCC overturn this body multiple times when we've denied applications on that. Those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Commissioner Lau. Yes, Commissioner Bernstein.
Well, I echo some of those sentiments, and I was going to pose some questions, but I think Ms. Massey, along with our executive director, did answer some of them. The policies laid out by staff in support of their position on this, run the gamut, but at the end of the day, if I'm not mistaken, they consistently revolve around two issues or two themes. One is the coastal high hazard area, the other is compatibility. I'm not personally persuaded on the compatibility issue for a lot of the reasons we've heard, which brings us back yet again to familiar territory in front of this commission. We've been on this discussion, maybe 4 times over the last 12 months, and I'm still at a loss to understand where coastal high hazard area fits within the scheme of things. If anything, I'm more confused now today than I was 3 or 4 months ago on this issue, because it seems to be elevated as essentially a de facto litmus test, to echo the sentiments of the colleague to my right. And to me, it's inescapable. Is it a factor or is it the factor? And I don't think this commission has done an effective job of articulating its position on this. And so I'm a little bit conflicted, but I have to say, anecdotally, I feel like we've had projects come before this commission and in some cases approved them with residential capacity exceeding the 159 that is represented by this plan, within areas that, at least to my knowledge, lie in much closer proximity to large bodies of water. And so I keep asking myself whether this is going to continue to be a windmill that this commission tilts at, hoping that the county commission finally sees the light of day out of principle, when the reality is we're at risk, I think, of operating inconsistently not only with our precedent as a commission, but with the inescapable characteristics of the area that we're talking about today. And so I have to say, I'm really struggling to support our staff's position on this, however well conceived it may be, because at the end of the day, I see a lot of policies that are thrown out in support of this position, and yet at the end of the day, at least from my perspective, it still comes down to coastal high hazard area. I think that's an important factor, but I, for one, am not willing to acknowledge that it's the only factor.
Good points, Commissioner Bernstein. Yes, Mr. Anita.
If I could, I just wanted to provide the dates of that last amendment and some of the details that I didn't have in front of me before. It was CPA 2203 that was requesting this site and the RMU 35 to the west of it to go to residential 35. And Planning Commission found that inconsistent in April of 2022, and then the Board of County Commissioners denied it in June of 2022. But it was a request for a different land use category as well, the residential 35, so.
That's helpful, thank you.
Are there any more comments from the commissioners? I'll just say for my own part, since I was here for the last one and probably the one in 2018 too, I continue to be a representative from the county who came up in this area. So to me, the character is incorrect. To put it plainly for Commissioner Lau, because you're from Lutz area, which is the east side of the county over there, that'd be like saying Lutz is walkable. And so we need to do high density residential stuff in Lutz because there's one bus line that runs up 41, which is completely erroneous. So it's the same thing over here, just in the other side of the county. So to me, the character of it just seems wrong. I could see it some point in the future with more development, but with the issues we're having with Hart, with the issues we're having with transportation, it just doesn't make sense to me to put a bunch of housing out that far. It feels weird. So that's just my 2 cents. Yes, Commissioner Lauk. Nope. Are there any more? Commissioner Lauk?
I will say I work right down the road from this.
No.
We had the same discussion the last time this was here in April, and I think that vote was, it was a mixed vote at that time. And bus line or no bus line, if we're saying we're only going to build high density residential in specific areas, I think we have the wrong policy. If we're going to look for a spot to build things where you have ingress and egress into the adjacent county, back into places to work, where are we going to put apartment buildings in West Chase, if not along Hillsborough Avenue?
Good point, Commissioner Lauk. All right. Are there any more questions, comments, or discussions from the commissioners? The commissioners?
May I
From the
respond?
commissioners? Anyone? Not seeing any, then I will go on ahead and close public
May I
comment on
respond
this.
to the staff comments, Mr. Chairman?
Pardon me, Trace?
Was the applicant given the opportunity to do rebuttals?
There was no one sign up for the public comment, so it's just the questions from the commissioners at this point. We can choose to let him add more commentary, but there was no comment from the public. So, do you think I should? I'll let him. That doesn't matter to
I think
me.
given the level of the debate that it would be beneficial for the record to go ahead and do that.
Okay, Mr. Pressman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, sir. I'll keep it short. I'll remind the board, and I know you've heard it, that what we're seeking is RMU 35. When we were here before, a year ago, we asked for res, I think it was res 35, I forget the category. That was a pure residential category. Went to the commissioners, we heard a message from the commissioners that the message was commercial was okay. I'm going to say that with just one parenthesis on either side of the sentence. But they had some concerns, a little bit more concerns with residential. That's why we come back with RMU 35, because RMU 35 is a wide range, and we're going to have to deal with the county commissioners in terms of what's going to ultimately go there. I would also say, and these things sometimes have different ways to look at, but our memory of the hearing was that there were not 5 votes of the Board of County Commissioners against the future land use amendment. There were not 5 votes that denied it. There also were not 5 votes that approved it. That's what gave us the impetus to say, well, they definitely don't want residential. What can we do? All right, we'll come back with a wide range of uses. So that's why we're here. And I think that clarification was needed for the board to hear. And I appreciate the extra time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the comments, Mr. Pressman. They're actually very helpful. So no more comments from the commissioners then? All right, then we will go on ahead and close public comment on this item and open it up to motions from the commissioners on this item. Anyone? Commissioner Handy.
Yes, thanks. I move to find HCCPA 22-17 inconsistent and go along with the staff findings. I hope I said that the right way.
That's what I thank you, Commissioner Handy.
Thank you.
Right, we have a motion of inconsistency finding by Commissioner Handy. Is there any second to that motion?
I second the motion.
All right, Commissioner Bowden, we have a motion of inconsistency finding by Commissioner Handy, a second to that motion by Commissioner Bowden. Are there any more questions or discussions from the commissioners on this item? Not seeing any, I will then ask the clerk to go ahead and do a roll call vote on this item.
Bernstein?
No.
Bowden?
Yes.
Commissioner Bowden?
Yes.
Thank you. Fernandez?
No.
Handy?
Yes.
Kress,
Yes.
Lauk,
No.
Soria,
No.
Joseph,
Yes.
motion failed 4-4. Commissioners Bernstein, Fernandez, Lauk, and Soria voted no.
All righty. We will take it back and reopen it up again then. Two motions from the commissioners. So we have a failed. Or do we want to have some more discussion or? All right, we're still listening for a motion from anyone. Commissioner Fernandez.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I propose that we find HC CPA 2217 consistent with the Hillsborough County future land use. Sorry, I don't have everything right in front of me.
All right. Do you want to, we usually try to offer some policies. Mr. Pressman had given 22-03. A transportation policy is.
Yeah, 22, sorry, was that 20?
Or did I say the right thing?
That's right.
Was that right, Mr. Pressman? Or 2.1.6, sorry, 2.1.6. I got too many numbers.
22.08 is the housing, and the transportation is policy 2.1.6.
Yes, like we can use those, Mr.
So
Chairman.
we have Commissioner Fernandez, consistent based on policies 22.08, the housing, and 2.1.6 in the transportation. And we are looking for a second to that motion of consistency finding.
Let's
Commissioner
try
Lauk?
it. Second.
All right, we have a second to that motion by Commissioner Lauk. Is there any more discussion or questions from the commissioners? Not seeing any at this point in time, I will ask the clerk to go on ahead and do a roll call vote on this item.
Bernstein,
Yes?
Bowden,
No.
Fernandez,
Yes.
Handy,
No.
Kress,
No.
Lauk,
Yes.
Soria,
Yes.
Joseph.
No.
Right. Motion failed 4-4. Commissioners Bowden, Handy, Kress, and Joseph voted no.
All right. So, Tracy, what do you recommend on this one? I mean, obviously, it's open up to motions again because that one failed, but.
Well, the board runs up against the problem of having this go over to the Board of County Commissioners without a recommendation if you fail to take action. So I think it would be appropriate to have some more discussion and see if you can come to a decision.
Right. Commissioner Bernstein.
I do have one question perhaps that I think I'd like, with permission of the chair, to put to both commission staff and also to Mr. Pressman.
Yeah.
And it gets to the compatibility question, I think. And I've heard some mixed discussion about similar residential density within the area surrounding the parcel in question. And as somebody who is not as familiar with this area as perhaps some of my fellow commissioners, I would ask each of you, if you could, to comment on that question. Specifically, what about this notion of density in the areas adjacent to and surrounding this particular parcel? And just to prompt your responses, I've heard testimony both ways. I've heard some discussion from the applicant about trailer park establishments, for example, and higher density residential within the area across the street from this lot. But I've also heard from staff that It is not characteristic of the surrounding neighborhood. So maybe if I could, Ms. Massey, perhaps starting with you, get your insights on that question.
I would just say that if you were to drive down this portion of West Hillsborough Avenue, it just doesn't have a residential feel to it by any means. You know, there's commercial shopping centers along this northern side of West Hillsborough Avenue. And also keep in mind that it is designated as light industrial, so that is the way that it's planned to be developed in that type of way. And then to the south, I don't know if you can see the screen here, but when you look at this future land use map, all along the southern side of West Hillsborough Avenue is designated as office commercial 20, so that's the way that it's envisioned to be developed. Now, the existing character, you know, there are some existing, you know, mobile homes, single-family homes. There are a couple of higher density residential developments. Maybe, I'm not sure what proximity to this site, and I can't speak to when those came about or how they did. But I think that, you know, this corridor is mainly a commercial corridor, and it just doesn't have that type of residential feel to it, nor does it really have like a mixed use feel to it. It's a higher speed road. I don't know if that helps to answer any of your questions.
No, it's all helpful. And is it fair to say that from the staff's perspective, it's the residential aspects of this application that concern it the most, from the standpoint that it would put density in terms of residents in a coastal high hazard area? I mean, is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, that's the main concern that we have on our end, is that we're going from a possible 0 dwelling units per acre to a possible 35 dwelling units per acre in a vulnerable area. So that's the main concern that we had in our finding.
Well, I appreciate that, and then perhaps we could invite Mr. Pressman to share his perspective on that same issue.
With great respect to your staff, they've referred a number of times to the OC20, which I'm trying to get to the mapping, noting that OC20 spans the south end. Well, OC20 allows 20 units per acre. That's one of the uses under that entire southern span. That's why you see high-density residential there now. And I have to flip around here quite a bit, which is where this existing high-density residential exists in 2 very large developments, along with the mobile homes on the north end. So there is a major component of residential. Your future land use clearly designates the entire south end to be a residential potential use. And we have no one here through 2 public hearings and a Florida County Commissioners hearing where the public's been notified and big yellow signs are put up. We've had absolutely 0, and I think that's important. We've had absolutely 0 folks coming forward with concerns or objections, which include noticing the local HOAs. I have to look and see how many there are, but those are included in the notice. I think that's responsive to your question. With great respect, Mr. Chairman, as an option, we would certainly be acceptable to come back in February for a full board, if that's something that the board would want to consider as an option. So we want to leave any option open to the board for discussion at this time or next month. We appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Did that cover it for you, Commissioner Bernstein? Or?
That was, all the information's helpful to me personally. Hopefully my other fellow commissioners feel the same way. It does beg a question that maybe, I don't know if this is appropriate to ask, but I feel like in the past, we've had situations not unlike this one. We've contemplated down planning. I mean, I don't know to what extent, Mr. Pressman or staff, that's even an option here to dial down the amount of residential density that's subject to this application in order to, you know, come up with a compromise that's more appropriate.
Well, that's kind of what you've already done, Mr. Pressman, isn't it? We've kind of dialed back the residential or tried to soften it a little bit by making it RMU as opposed to just R35 that came the first time.
That's exactly correct. We responded to the concerns we had from the county commission.
Right.
That's
I mean,
exactly correct.
We can ask him to try and, but it seems like he already did that, so it seemed like a, you know. And thank you for your offer of coming back when the board's full. I mean, gives us another option to discuss. Oh, sorry. Yes, Commissioner Handy.
Thanks. Well, when Commissioner Joseph mentioned all the way out there, that kind of gave me pause, because I mean, I'm a little on the fence. It's Hillsborough Avenue. It's developed. The retail argument seems viable. I am hung up on the coastal high hazard and the evacuation times and putting more property and people at risk. But I'm zooming out on an aerial photo of the site, and it really is just on the edge. I mean, it's out there. It's on the eastern edge of civilization, if you will. The Upper Tampa Bay Park, I think that's Double Branch, the river. Commissioner Bernstein mentioned it's not really on the water. Well, the back of the property is, I'm sure it floods based on what I'm looking at. This boat bayou is immediately to the south across Hillsborough Avenue. So, it's not just the coastal high hazard area.
Your mic.
Oh, sorry. So yes, it is the coastal high hazard area. Yes, it is the residential issue. But when someone brought up the pedestrian and accessibility, I thought I had the same notion. It was like, well, who's going to walk down Hillsborough Avenue? And the one bus route sort of clinched that for me as well. So looking at this map, I think for me that sort of reinforces the position of what staff has said, is that it does not look like a highly residential area or something that's necessarily compatible with that change of land use. So that was useful to me. I don't know if that's possible to bring up an aerial photograph so we can share what it is that I'm looking at right now, but those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Handy. Commissioner Bowden.
Yeah, well, that's more of a statement and a thought. The thing that concerns me is that you showed that there'll be a 159-room hotel, and then you're talking about putting houses beside that or residential community. And my thought is, as a resident, would I want to live beside a hotel? So that's my concern, along with the coastal area as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Bowden. Oh, Commissioner Fernandez, I'm going to go, then I'll come to
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to push back on the walkability there. Yeah, it's a major road, but it's on the same side of the highway as a Publix. And, we look around the city, and Publix is building inside of residential towers. So, we have a bunch of apartments right next door. They don't have to go into that highway to get to the grocery store there. So, I just want to say there are retail uses that support residential use. And that closest nearby apartment complex condo, I'm not sure where it is, looks like it's a quick check, only about a 6-minute walk from this site here.
Thank you, Commissioner Fernandez. Mr. Pressman, did you have some comments? I saw you looking eager at the microphone.
I just wanted to clarify for Mr. Bowden.
Commissioner Bowden.
Just to clarify, the adjoining site is currently approved PD site plan for a hotel. That doesn't mean that will go there. We're just wanting to make you aware of what those entitlements were and what could go there today. Under the RM35, there's a wide range, so I'm not making a point, I just wanted to clarify that for you. And one point I would make to clarify is this site would be developed with the site next door, so pedestrian access would not be along Hillsborough Avenue, it would be through the properties into the shopping center next door. It would be a bona fide, dedicated pedestrian connection, and then to the rest of the commercial as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes.
Could I just clarify something that was mentioned earlier? I don't know that we would be of the opinion that change, it was mentioned earlier that this new application is a down planning from the previous application. The residential 35 and the RMU 35 both offer a potential density of 35 dwelling units per acre. The regional mixed use 35 just offers a wider variety of uses. So I don't know that we would say that it's a down planning. But
Good point. Thank you. All right. I did want to add really quick too for myself that although I'm kind of hung up on the character of the place, I don't necessarily agree with the coastal high hazard thing. You know what I mean? If that were the argument for me, then that wouldn't cut it for me necessarily. So I don't know if that helps or changes anybody's opinion, but I just wanted to be honest about that. So, Commissioner Lau.
I think this is a really interesting one, as evidenced by all the debate. One thing that stands out to me is I keep hearing the character of the neighborhood, the character of the area, and I don't know if residential fits there. Facts are stubborn things. There's dense residential directly across the street, two multifamily developments directly across the street with the mobile home facility. So, and we keep coming back to the bus line and we keep calling this out there. Some folks can't have to live out there from a cost perspective. Not everybody can live in the inner city or in a development in Seminole Heights or South Tampa. Uses like this are necessary. In terms of transportation, of course there's only one bus line. The main artery out there is Hillsborough County. You have Racetrack Road running north, but to and from egress and ingress into the Midtown area or downtown area or deeper into Hillsborough County is going to run along Hillsborough County. Of course there's going to be one bus line out there. From an escapability standpoint, if a storm comes, we're a stone's throw away from the turnpike. The Veterans is just to this, as it runs back to the southeast, you're on the Veterans. You can also move into Pasco County, and if you're a glutton for punishment, jump on 19. I don't know why you would ever want to do that, but you could. So again, I think there's really good debate, merit on both sides. Maybe we come back next month unless some folks on here have changed their mind.
Yes, Ms. Ornita.
Oh, I was just going to point out that if you're able to look in your packet, on page 25 of the packet, there is a zoomed out land use map that I do think provides a little bit bigger perspective and shows much of West Chase, which you were referring to the east of the site. Most of that is a residential 4 or a residential 6 land use category. There are those multifamily developments on the south side of the road. They are within the confines of the 20 units per acre of the office commercial 20. And I think just when I look at that zoomed out land use map, the residential 35 that happened to be approved to the west stands out as by far the most dense thing in this portion of Hillsborough County. So just point that out.
Thank you, Ms. Ornita. Commissioner Kress.
Yeah, I agree. This is a tricky one, and there's valid arguments on both sides. I'm willing to change my vote to consistent. In a way, this area is kind of too far gone to maybe hold up to too many principles.
All righty then.
So.
All right, Commissioner Laug.
For the record, that's what I said at Christmas when I ate my third piece of pie.
All right, so do we want to try and tender a motion on this now? We have a mind change.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yep, I'd like to motion that we find, sorry, all this discussion now, I'm all over my computer here. We find HCCPA 22-17
consistent.
Thank you. Consistent with Hillsborough County Future Land Use Plan, citing policies 22.08 and 2.2. Sorry, it's okay. 2.26.
2.1.6?
2.1.6, yes, thank you. That's all right.
If I could, I think the 2208 that was referred to might have been the plan amendment number for the housing element, not the actual policy number for the housing element. We can, if you all are referring to the policies that Mr. Pressman referred to, we can get those from Todd and incorporate them into the resolution. I just didn't want to have the
Yeah,
erroneous
thank you. I'm
reference.
searching
Sure.
here the document. I'm just not
No
finding it.
problem. Just want to have the right reference there, so thank you.
Okay, we have a consistency finding by Commissioner Fernandez with policy 2.1.6 and other policies, which will be gathered from Mr. Pressman by Ms. Ornita to be added to this consistency finding. And do we have, oh, Commissioner Kress?
I'll second.
All right, and we have a second to that motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Kress. Is there any more discussion or questions from the commissioners on this item? Not seeing any at this time, I will ask the clerk to go ahead and do a roll call vote on this item.
Bernstein,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Fernandez,
Yes.
Handy,
No.
Kress,
Yes.
Lauk,
Yes.
Soria,
Yes.
Joseph.
No.
Thank you. Motion carried 6-2. Commissioners Handy and Joseph voted no.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all your time and the presentations and the information and for bearing with us. All right, on to our next item of business. 2C, HCCPA 22-18 Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, Sims Road and East Bay Road, and the presenter is Carla Llanos.
Good evening, Carla Llanos with Planning Commission staff. This is Plan Amendment 22-18 Sims Road and East Bay Road. This is a privately initiated small-scale comprehensive plan future land use map amendment on 8.40 acres. It is going from residential 6 and residential 9 to residential 20. This plan amendment is located in the South County area, just before the southernmost plan amendment for the October 2022 cycle. The property is located within the Gibsonton Community Plan and within an urban service area. The approximate location of the site is west of Interstate 75 and East Bay Road, north of Sims Road and east of Cujo Lane, and south of Honeywell Road in unincorporated Hillsborough County. On your screen, you have an aerial with the surrounding uses. The area is generally composed of single-family use, public, quasi-public use. Now, the property is half vacant and half single-family currently. The property is completely surrounded by single-family residential use, okay? Densities in this area reach up to 6 dwelling units an acre. To the north of the property are mobile home park, single-family land, and a moose lodge that is designated as public institutional use. To the northwest and west are single-family land and 3 mobile home parks. To the south, southeast, east, and northeast are property is single-family land uses as well. Now, PC staff conducted a site visit and to the surrounding area. Now, the first and second pictures on your screen is a view facing the property which shows a line of vegetation, a sidewalk, and both the northbound and southbound view of East Bay Road. Okay, so here we go. Now, this third picture shows Sims Road while standing at the entrance of the property with your back towards the subject site. Now, the property's frontage along Sims Road does not contain a sidewalk. A sidewalk, though, can be seen on the other side of Sims Road. So I'll point to it with my mouse. It's on this side. Now, this fourth picture is East Bay Road and Sims Road intersection. And this last picture is facing the subject site right off of Sims Road. Okay. You could see the different types of uses. Some of it is vacant, some of it is single family currently. Now, the property has an adopted future land use designation, again, of residential 6 and residential 9. Typical uses in the residential 6 are residential, suburban scale, neighborhood commercial, office uses, multi-purpose projects, and mixed-use developments. Now, of course, it is subject to commercial locational criteria. Now, residential 9 allows for the same type of uses. Okay. Now, under the existing future land use category, okay, going back, residential 6 allows a standard density of 6 dwelling units to the acre, okay? and 0.25 floor area ratio. The residential 9 actually allows a standard density of 9 dwelling units to the acre, or 0.50 floor area ratio. Now, under this proposed future land use, it's going to residential 20, and typical uses here are residential, neighborhood commercial, basically the same thing, except it is introducing mixed-use developments. Now, the density in this category allows for 20 dwelling units an acre, okay, or 0.75 floor area ratio. Now, the property is surrounded by residential 6 and suburban mixed-use 6 future land use category, which both categories do have a maximum of 6 dwelling units an acre. Now, on your screen, you have the potential impacts per the adopted and the proposed future land use. Under the existing categories for a total combined maximum impacts, the property would allow for 62 dwelling units or 133,000 square feet of non-residential. Under the proposed Res 20, we're looking at 168 dwelling units or 274,000 square feet of non-residential. Now, overall, the proposed changes would add additional density and intensity, as well as introduce the possibility of higher density multifamily to the area. Now, here we have listed a few comprehensive plan policies that staff reviewed for consistency. And overall, the proposed request is not consistent with the growth management objectives and policies of the comprehensive plan. The request is not consistent with the urban service area objective and policies. The increase of density would create a disruption in the overall existing development pattern. Planning Commission staff must rely on the guidance of existing policies that assess the proposed amendment from a standpoint of compatibility, fiscal appropriateness, environmental suitability, and overall enhancement of the quality of life. The request is not consistent with the neighborhood protection objectives and policies. These policies direct the need to protect existing neighborhood communities and those that will emerge in the future. The request introduces high density to the surrounding residential and is not compatible. PC staff analyzed the surrounding density and found that none of the single-family developments within half a mile of the subject site exceeds 6 dwelling units an acre. Now, the proposed CPA is inconsistent with the Gibsonton Community Plan and the South Shore area-wide systems. Land use strategy, goal 2, goal 4B of the Gibsonton Community Plan, they talk about the revitalization of neighborhoods, the riverfront area and the Gardenville Recreation Center and older commercial areas to improve and enhance the neighborhoods and encourage new developments with a range of housing choices. However, this site is not within the riverfront revitalization area, nor is it within the Gardenville Recreation Center area, and it does not produce any type of work for housing or anything. Now, Planning Commission staff recommends that HCCPA 22-18 be found inconsistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Again, this plan amendment will go before the Board of County Commissioners on January 26th of 2023, and I will gladly answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Does the applicant have a presentation?
Good evening. Thank you very much. Isabel Albert with Half Associates. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, but I do have the old-fashioned. Okay, thank you very much. So here's the location. Carla did a good job letting you know where it is. It is on Sims Road and East Bay Road. It is in the Gibsonton Community Planning Area as well as the South Shore Planning Wide Area. It is also very importantly to know that it's also located in the urban service area. Here's the future land use. The future land use is residential 9 and residential 6. It is surrounded by a residential 4 and SMU 6 in the area. The request is to go to a residential 20. Again, this is located in the middle of the urban service area in the Gibsonton area. It is also located at the intersection of 2 major roadways that are classified as suburban residential, which is Sims Road and East Bay Road. And this has been recently adopted by the context classification map. We also need to know that this site has been approved for a capital improvement program. This is the CIP in order to develop a roundabout at the intersection of Sims and East Bay Road. County approved to spend about $5 million in order to improve the traffic and pedestrian safety for this area. They are right now about 60% of the design process, but this is a project that's definitely going to be happening. And with that project, that will include redevelopment of the roadway, expand the roadway, include sidewalks and all of that. This is for the pedestrian as well as the vehicular safety. Surrounding uses are we have a mixture of residential, which is the mobile home, and single-family residential, as identified here. But also, we can't forget that this site is zoned planned development for commercial and medical office. The board has found it compatible to have about 65,000 square feet of commercial, business professional office and office at that site. And compatibility was going to be addressed through the buffers and the screenings that would be required on this site. There's definitely more traffic, that would create actually more traffic than what the proposal is with the residential 20. And we can't ignore the surrounding development. This area is actually under development. Everything that's circled in yellow is under current development. And they range from very small size, 4,000 to 5,000 to 6,000 square feet, but it's very intense. And what we're proposing is to have this intensity more internal and more dense onto a multifamily development in order to provide a bit of open space on the site. And we feel that it is consistent with the comprehensive plan. It is located in the urban service area. It is where they want the development to occur. It is also neighborhood protection. Neighborhood protection is done also through zoning. This site will have to go through a plan development zoning in order to do this. And at that time, that's when they really start looking at the consistency and how to, protect the neighbors. Right now, this area at the northwest corner, it is in transition. It is mobile homes. It is going to be developing and redeveloping as part of what's happening in the Gibsonton area with the need of housing. Livable community from the Gibsonton Community Plan, revitalizing the outdated mobile homes, revitalizing the area, not only along the river, but it's the whole area as a whole. And also provide different types of housing. And that's what's really important. As I understand, there's a lot of single-family homes there, a lot of mobile homes there, but there's a need for rental units that could be provided with this development or this proposal. Workforce housing, that would meet some of the workforce housing, probably not per code requirement or how the county sees it, but it's also another form of housing that could be provided to the residents. Walkability, again, with the redevelopment of that roundabout, the intent is to provide more sidewalks and to start creating that walkability in the area. Reviewing agencies had no objections. This ranged from the community and infrastructure from the planning department. They found that the level of service with this proposal is going to continue to be acceptable. The HART, we had some discussions with HART who showed an interest to have a test route from the Walmart all the way down to East Bay to do the roundabout, which has been designed to accommodate buses, to do the roundabout and then go back up. And those are ongoing discussions that we have. I'm pointing here, Mr. Malloy, because he's having those discussions with HART. Public utilities, again, the water and sewer is sufficient even with this development. So this whole area is prime and ready for this higher density. EPC had no objections. And then to conclude, again, this is in the urban service area. These policies are promoting, encouraging development in this urban service area. The county has invested $5 million in order to improve that roundabout that is going to promote for better safety for vehicular and pedestrians, and especially near a roundabout, a multifamily development is more compatible with a high, like a high traffic area that's going to be happening there. It is prime for redevelopment. It meets the policies that we've described, and there is no reviewing agency that had any comments, and nor did we receive any letters of opposition or anything like that. So just to recap, this area is prime for new development. I know that there's like a residential 6 in the area, but that this is the perfect location to start thinking about the future and the growth and providing housing, which is a huge need, and different types of housing. I'm here if you have any questions. And Mr. Malloy might want to add.
Commissioners, good evening. William Malloy, 325 South Boulevard. Ms. Albert covered everything extensively in this, as did staff. I just have a few remarks that I hope ring true a little bit. I really care about this project, which is awkward for me to say. This is not production housing or tract housing. This is an opportunity for us to do something new and I think a little bit special in the Gibsonton area. I understand that planners, as a matter of trade, hate outliers. They hate that different little color in a sea of uniformity. And this blip of R20 absolutely is an outlier. There's no getting around that. But I think it's an outlier which is perfectly teed up for this project. Even the support, or the report, which doesn't support our project, goes on to mention that we are working actively with HART. We're in discussions with them about doing a little test run on one of their, I think they call it, fleet runners. It's the smaller bus, not the full size, between the Walmart at Gibsonton and our project. We are in serious discussions with affordable housing and some developers with there. I can't represent that that's a done deal, but it's happening. And again, as Isabel said, the desperate need for workforce housing in this area. We say single family when we look at the aerials, but those rooftops are really mobile homes. That's what this area is made of right now. A point that hasn't been made, and I just like to throw out there, is that we have the opportunity here to take 168 mobile home rooftops, turn them into 168 front doors, which are type A Miami-Dade building code. I mean, I think we all understand how important that is. What happened just down south of us, the main destruction wasn't to the newer structures, it was to the old structures that were existing. I feel like this is an opportunity we can't miss. I feel strongly about it, and I'm hoping that we can color outside a little bit of the lines on this one and make a good project out of it. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the presentations. We did not, well, I had both of your names sign up as speakers on this, but your agents, so besides that, we had no one else sign up in the public comment. So we will, at this time, turn it over to the planning commissioners for discussions, questions on this item. Commissioner Bernstein.
Maybe it's more of an observation. It's interesting that this comes on the heels of the last one we talked about. I know it's a coincidence, but I would say this, Mr. Malloy. First of all, thanks for sharing your personal insight on the project. I wish we had more of that sometimes. I feel like I can always make a better decision if I can visualize what's going to be done with this project. And I can't imagine arguing against the notion of affordable housing. I think we all share a desire for more of that. The question, as is often the case, comes down to where should it be and what principles should the staff and ourselves apply to make those determinations. And, you know, I certainly could be swayed otherwise, but I have this nagging thought that even though here there is no coastal high hazard concern that's been expressed, I struggle with whether this might be a bridge too far to go from 6 to 9 to 20. Someone has to be first in there. I think you all want to be the pioneer, but there are certain principles that, you know, we are tied to, and compatibility, for lack of a better word, is one of them, and that's why I have concerns about this project, and they have nothing to do with the presentation you shared. Someone, again, has to put their toe in the water out there, but I don't know if I've been persuaded that we should be ratifying that sort of thing. I guess it's just a concern for my fellow commissioners because, like so many of these, they're not easy decisions.
Good points, Commissioner Bernstein. Yes, Commissioner Handy.
I echo those same thoughts, and I'd also like to point out a couple of other things. It was found inconsistent with the Gibsonton Community Plan, and the staff also found it to be premature in its request. So I think that's maybe what Commissioner Bernstein was getting at. And also a big fan of affordable housing personally, but I think it might be dare I say, a stretch to, we get rid of the mobile homes and instead we put in front doors. Wonderful. Are those mobile home residents going to be able to afford the front doors? So, I mean, it sounds great in theory, but not necessarily in practice, especially in this area of Gibsonton that I'm reasonably familiar with. So I would actually support the staff's recommendations.
Thank you, Commissioner Handy. Commissioner Bowden?
Yeah, I support the staff recommendation as well. Basically, understanding the community area and the present state of the traffic. And you talk about doing away with the mobile homes. It goes back to the actual affordability of those homes. Even if they're affordable, they're not affordable when someone is actually paying $300 a month for a mobile home versus $1,500 for an apartment. So doing away with the mobile homes will probably not happen as rapidly as is envisioned. So what we're doing is adding additional traffic to those roads, to that area. That area is very, very, certain hours of the day, you're going to spend, an hour going from 41 to 301 easily. Or if you take Old Big Bend Road, it is like unpassable. So there's no way I can support this.
Thank you, Commissioner Bowden. Are there any more comments or discussions, questions from the commissioners? I am not seeing any at this time, so I am going to go ahead and close the public comment on this item and open it up to motions from the commissioners. Anyone? Commissioner Bernstein, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This time I move that we find HCCPA 22-18 inconsistent with the goals, policies, and objectives of the Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, and that we pass that recommendation along to the Hillsborough Board of County Commissioners for their consideration.
All right. Commissioner Lauck?
Second.
All right. We have a motion of inconsistency finding by Commissioner Bernstein, a second to that motion by Commissioner Lauck. Any more discussion or questions from the commissioners? Not seeing any. I will ask the clerk to go ahead and do a roll call vote on this item.
Bernstein?
Yes.
Bowden?
Yes.
Fernandez?
Yes.
Handy?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Lauk?
Yes.
Surya?
Yes.
Joseph?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 8-0.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and the information, everyone. All right, on to our next item of business. 2D HCCPA 22-19 Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, Citrus Park Lane and Easy Street. And the presenter is Jillian Massey.
Hi, again, this is Jillian Massey with your Planning Commission staff. I'll be presenting on HCCPA 22-19, which is Citrus Park Lane and Easy Street. This plan amendment is part of the October 2022 plan amendment cycle. It's located in northwest unincorporated county, south of Citrus Park Drive between Citrus Park Lane and Easy Street. Some background on this plan amendment is that it's a privately initiated small-scale amendment located on approximately 8.18 acres, and there are 7 folios involved. The site's located in the urban service area and within the limits of the Northwest Hillsborough Community Plan. This is the adopted future land use map for the subject site, which is currently designated as Residential 9. It's mainly surrounded by urban mixed-use 20 to the west, a Citrus Park Village to the north, Residential 9 to the east, and Residential 4 and Residential 6 further east. Further west is Residential 20. The proposal before you is to change the subject site from Residential 9 to the urban mixed-use 20, which allows residential, regional scale commercial uses such as a mall, office, and business park uses, research corporate park uses, light industrial, multipurpose, and clustered residential and or mixed-use projects. This is a photo facing south on Citrus Park Drive towards the McDonald's and Easy Street, where you can see the no outlet sign is where Easy Street is. This is facing north on Citrus Park Lane towards the intersection of Citrus Park Drive and Gunn Highway. This is facing north towards the same intersection of Citrus Park Drive and Gun Highway, just to show you that this area of the Citrus Park Drive is mainly light commercial in nature. This is facing south on Citrus Park Lane. Off to the right in the photo would be where the subject site is, and to the left of the photo is the Upper Tampa Bay Trail and the Veterans Highway. This is again facing south on Citrus Park Lane towards the subject site. And this is facing north on Citrus Park Lane towards the subject site on the left side of the street. This slide outlines the potential impacts of the proposed map amendment from residential 9 to urban mixed use 20. The proposed amendment would allow for an increase in residential density and an increase in commercial intensity. As you can see from this table, the allowable density would increase from a potential 73 dwelling units to a potential 163 dwelling units. And the maximum non-residential development potential would increase from 175,000 square feet to 356,320 square feet. If changed to the urban mixed-use 20 category, additional uses such as regional scale commercial and light industrial uses could be considered. This application was reviewed for consistency with the unincorporated county, Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, and found to be consistent with several goals, objectives, and policies, including objectives and policies in the urban service area where we anticipate growth to be directed, objectives and policies in the neighborhood and community development section. We found that this area is generally light commercial in nature. There are, a shopping mall and other light commercial uses along this area of Citrus Park Drive. Although it is designated in the residential 9 in this area, it is bound by the Veterans Highway and the Upper Tampa Bay Trail. So you aren't going to find any residential uses on the west side of those areas. So we found that the proposal is consistent with the neighborhood protection policies. In addition, with the mixed use categories and community design component. Finally, we did find that the proposal is consistent with the goals of the Northwest Area Community Plan. And this is all outlined in your staff report, the specific policies or objectives and policies. And also, this application was sent out for agency review. We did not receive any objections, and all of those comments are in your packet for your review. And with that being said, Planning Commission staff recommends that HCCPA 22-19 be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. I'm available for questions, and the applicant is here to also present.
Needs the overhead. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Mark Bentley, 401 East Jackson Street, Tampa, 33602, representing the applicants, 2 property owners, Citrus Park Investors and the Radiant Group, Radiant Oil of Tampa. The intent here is to integrate 2 existing projects into one uniform project. They share similar characteristics. For example, they're contiguous, they have common zoning, they share common infrastructure and common access to the properties by virtue of a street that's called Easy Street, which is located on the western border of the subject property. You can see up there where it says existing UMU on the west side, that's called Easy Street. On the east side is Citrus Park Drive. That's actually a private road, but for about 200 lineal feet. It's directly south of Citrus Park Drive, and that's Citrus Park Lane. I keep getting those confused. So there are 2 private roads, and in this project, this integrated project would be using both of those for access. Notably, all the properties within the plan amendment area, but for the Radiant Group property, which is the Hatchmark property I'm pointing to, which is roughly 1.7 acres, all those have had the benefit of undergoing the flex provision in connection with their PD rezonings as recently as I think roughly 2015. If you're not familiar with the flex, that's where your staff weighs in when there's a PD rezoning and someone tries to extend a contiguous land use designation up to the extent of 500 lineal feet. And at that time, on both of these rezonings, your staff weighed in, and one of the requirements of utilizing the flex is that you have to demonstrate compatibility with the goals, objectives, and policies of your comp plan. So your staff weighed in on 2 occasions and found that they met that test. Okay, so from our perspective, what's going on here tonight is actually kind of a reaffirmation by your staff of what it determined to be compatibility and consistency in roughly 2015 or so. Some of these properties are also partially developed, and Ryan Manassi, our professional planner, will kind of walk you through that with a hotel in an office development. But under their existing zoning, they're allowed for a mixed-use project. I know you don't like to get into zoning issues, but the practical, perspective is that that's something you need to consider. I think if you would have saw the flex provision, some kind of asterisk or delineation that these properties were effectively UMU 20, you might have had a different perspective before you walked in here tonight. But be that as it may, the original applicant was simply the Radiant Group, and after a series of meetings with your staff, and because of some of these flexes and different modifications to these projects, they thought the better course of action would be to actually integrate both projects with the same land use designation. And so we collaborated with the adjacent property owner. It took a while. So what we've done is not only do we have a dual application with both properties under consideration, but we've also filed, as of today, a PD rezoning for the entire project, which would consist of primarily a mixed-use development. I'd also point out that from a transportation standpoint, they've determined that there's no adverse impact on the surrounding transportation network. And here again, these projects are already approved essentially for the square footage that your staff had presented to you under the existing UMU 20. So at this time, I'd like to introduce our professional planner, Mr. Ryan Manassi, and he has a very brief presentation. I know this is kind of dragged on a little longer than you anticipated. So Ryan, cut it short.
If I could have the overhead, please. Good evening, Commissioners. Ryan Manassi, 401 East Jackson Street, Suite 3100. First slide on screen, the area of the request, again, is outlined in red, and as you're well aware now, it's for the UMU 20 designation. Additionally, the slide shows the predominant UMU 20 future land use designation to the west and northwest of the subject area to include the UMU 20 amendment area that separates our parcel. And what I wanted to do is show you that, from Citrus Park Mall, it starts extending east and actually bifurcates our subject parcels. To orientate you further, the subject area is south of Citrus Park Drive with Citrus Park Mall immediately to the west and northwest. To the north of the request is a built McDonald's, and then Citrus Park Lane borders the subject area to the east and is a built roadway, which is partially private, as Mark explained, and has existing vegetation along the rights-of-way, and that's along the east side. So right here you have the trail and then Citrus Park Lane, and you'll have existing vegetation along that whole drive that the staff planner showed you. Again, Citrus Park Drive to the north. Further east, you'll notice that upper Tampa Bay Trail across Citrus Park Lane, and then the existing gym and urgent care continuing to the Veterans Expressway. I'd like to note our request does not affect the upper Tampa Bay Trail and is west of this trail, which is currently divided by, again, that vegetation in Citrus Park Lane. Moving south, you'll notice our request is bifurcated again and I'll explain this further in the presentation, but I'd like to point out the existing office building and hotel, which are not part of this request, and then further south is Big Cat Rescue down here. So again, this request excludes the existing entitled office building and then the existing hotel. So why are we here? Well, the red shaded area on screen was never part of any rezoning or flex, nor a future land use amendment to the UMU 20 category. As Mark mentioned, the areas to the south of the newly proposed project are already rezoned for a mix of uses, but more importantly, they're already flexed with the UMU 20 entitlements, and that's shown in that red shading. Additionally, you may have noticed on the previous slide, the area between the two existing flexes as already being UMU 20 category. And that would be true as they're shown in the red shaded area on the screen as well with those two comprehensive plan amendments that changed their category to that UMU 20. Shown on screen is the UMU 20 and how it looked combined with some of the existing and new UMU 20 areas. The red shaded region includes a subject request and some of the existing UMU 20 flexes and amendments. I'd like to mention that during our pre-application, as Mark noted, staff did recommend that we attempt to bring the Easy Street parcel, which is it's not a actual road, well, it's a right-of-way, but it's private, but it extends all the way south along this west border. And that's to continue that UMU 20 designation and not break it up where you get these islands of different land use categories. And again, just to further show some of the existing UMU 20 areas to include the already flexed UMU 20 area, which is part of our request. What I did there, I highlighted the yellow area. I mean, the mall's already UMU 20. Part of that hotel and the parking in this lot right here was already UMU 20. And then again, really just to highlight this northern lot, as Mark alluded to earlier, is really the only one that hasn't taken advantage to a UMU 20 flex or comprehensive plan amendment. This request integrates multiple rezonings with existing UMU 20 flexes. These existing uses include office buildings, hotels, and associated parking. The new uses are intended to be mixed use consistent with the UMU 20 land use designation. Additionally, we have shown our request provides uniformity and consistency in land use plan designations. The request has been found to be consistent by your Planning Commission staff and is consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan. Thank you, and I'd like to turn it back to Mark for any final comments, and I'll turn in this presentation to the record as well. Sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, Tracy, how do you receive and file documents here? Do I give them to you? Give them to me. Okay. That'll be fine. All right. We'll make sure they get. Yeah, I think you can do it. One other point I wanted to make is that through this process, there was some community outreach, and we reached out to the two contiguous property owners. And as you can see on this graphic, maybe you can't, but take my word for it. Major property owner is Big Cat Rescue. And don't worry, this meeting's not going to be on Tiger King 3 or anything, to my knowledge. But so they were in support. And we really appreciate that. The property owner we're working with has a great relationship with them. Then another property owner, his name's Andrew Shaffey. So we submitted letters in support to your staff, and hopefully they made their way to you. So in summary, all the testimony and evidence supports the finding of consistency by the commission. We respectfully request the commission adopt a resolution with the finding of consistency recommending approval of our client's application to the Board of County Commissioners. If you have any questions, I'll certainly attempt to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we didn't have anyone sign up in the public comment for this one except for Mr. Manassi, who I'm assuming is the agent with you. So we'll pass him by and turn it over to the planning commissioners for questions, comments, and discussions of this item. Not seeing any at this time. Then I will go on ahead and close the public comment on this item and open it up to motions from the commissioners. Commissioner Fernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to move that we find unincorporated Hillsborough County CPA 2219 consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan and forward this to the recommendation to the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners.
All righty.
Second.
All right, we have a motion for consistency finding by Commissioner Fernandez, and then a second to that motion by Commissioner Lauk. Are there any more discussions or questions, clarifications from the commissioners? Not seeing any at this time. Then I will go on ahead and ask the clerk to do a roll call vote on this item.
Bernstein?
Yes.
Bowden?
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Handy,
I've recused myself from this vote on the grounds that one of the principals is a client of my firm's, and I have Form 8B to give to Melissa.
All right, thank you. Kress,
Yes.
Lauk,
Yes.
Surya,
Yes.
Joseph.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 7-0. Commissioner Handy abstained.
Thank you. All right. On to our next item. We have 2E HCCPA 22-20 Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment 12398 Bullfrog Creek Road, and the presenter is Andrea Pappendrew.
Good evening, Commissioners. Andrea Pappendrew with your Planning Commission staff. This is HCCPA 22-20 12398 Bullfrog Creek Road. This is a privately initiated regular map amendment. The site is approximately 122.18 acres. The request is to go from suburban mixed-use 6 to residential 9. The site is in the urban service area and within 3 community plans: Riverview, Gibsonton, and South Shore area-wide systems. This is an aerial of the subject site. The site is outlined in red. It is east of Bullfrog Creek Road and east of I-75. To the north, south, and east are single-family residential properties and vacant land. And to the west, across Interstate 75, is the Golden Aster Scrub Preserve and Trail. So this is looking south of the subject site towards single-family residential properties. This is looking east towards subject site. There is a 73.85 acres of the site is a man-made lake. This is looking north of the subject site towards single-family residential and vacant properties. And this is looking west of the site towards Interstate 75. And on the other side of the 75 is the Golden Aster Scrub Preserve and Trail. The adopted future land use category for the site is suburban mixed-use 6. Suburban mixed-use 6 surrounds the site on the north and south. To the east is residential 9. To the west, across Interstate 75, is natural preservation. And the proposal before you today is to go to the residential 9 future land use category. Moving to residential 9 would increase the density on site up to 1,099 units, increase intensity on site up to approximately 2.7 million square feet. If approved, urban scale commercial uses would be permitted, and suburban scale commercial, research corporate park, and light industrial uses would no longer be permitted on site. So the plan amendment is consistent with the following comprehensive plan objectives and policies, specifically policy 16.2 of the future land use element, which requires gradual transitions of intensities between different land uses using professional site planning, buffering and screening techniques, and the control of specific land uses. Surrounding area primarily contains single-family residential, vacant land, and public institutional land. And the proposed amendment would result in an increase in density and intensity that would be compatible with the development in the surrounding area. It's also consistent with Objective 13 and Policy 13.3, which indicate that new development shall not adversely impact environmentally sensitive areas. The property has a significant amount of wetlands and has the potential for upland preservation. It's also consistent with the 3 comprehensive plan, community plans shown on the slide before you. The plan is in the residential district of Riverview, which encourages residential development that complements the surrounding character. The proposed residential 9 would be a natural extension of the existing residential 9 to the east of the site. It is also consistent with several environmental goals, Goal 5 of Gibsonton Community Plan, Goal 6 of the Riverview Plan, and the South Shore Area-Wide Systems Environmental Objective. As I stated before, 73.85 acres of the site is a man-made lake, and there's opportunities for upland preservation. Based on this, Planning Commission staff recommends that the proposed map amendment be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Looks like the applicant's coming up for their presentation.
Yes, just briefly, Truett Gardner, 400 North Ashley Drive, here on behalf of the property owner. And I think Andrea did a very good job, and we have findings of consistency. We're not aware of any opposition at all from the notices that we sent out. And as a result, I'm just going to have Addie Clark with our office just run through some of the highlights to underscore some of Andrea's points and add a few more.
Thank you. Good evening. For the record, Addie Clark, 400 North Ashley Drive. And as Truett said, Andrea did a great job at orienting you as to where this parcel is located. As you can see here, we have Sims Road to the north and Big Bend Road to the south here. And we're within 3 community planning areas. And you can see here the established residential development pattern to our north, east, and south. All right. As you can see here, the request is to go from SMU 6 to residential 9. And the request before you is to really better complement the existing surrounding residential development by doing this map amendment. And so as you can see, the project boundary is located in red, and just pretty much on the entire eastern boundary of our site is adjacent to residential 9. And so we believe this is a logical extension of that residential density to this parcel to the west. And in full disclosure, a planned development application is to follow this application. The site is currently zoned planned development, and so that would be the natural course of action. And as of right now, the plan is to cluster multifamily development to protect as many natural resources as possible in this area, and to really centralize that residential development along Bullfrog Creek Road, which is a local roadway. So you can see here, going from SMU 6 to residential 9 is a slight increase in density, 3 units per acre. And you can see here also SMU 6, right now the project is currently zoned PD, and it can be developed with 600,000 square feet of industrial and warehouse use. Light industrial and research corporate park uses, those are not allowed as land uses under the residential 9 future land use category. So we will be taking away that right for light industrial and other uses such as that. And the PD rezoning application to follow, proposing multifamily development will really complement the existing residential character of the area, as well as help with the demand for higher density residential. You can see here there is precedent for this request. Back in 2014, Planning Commission staff analyzed multiple areas in the county that had mixed use future land use designations to determine if that future land use category was appropriate based on the existing character and the emerging and existing development patterns. And you can see here just to the east of this parcel, it was deemed that SMU 6 was not the appropriate land use category, and so that was changed to residential 9 back in 2014, 2015. Oops. And before concluding, I just want to zoom in on the site. As you can see here, and as mentioned, we are consistent with policy 13.3, which promotes both preservation and sensible density in the area. And again, the PD rezoning to follow. The intent is to cluster development to the northeast of the site to really preserve what's existing on the site. And again, we're located within 3 community planning areas, the residential district of Riverview, Gibsonton Community Plan, and the South Shore Area-Wide Systems Plan. And we're compatible with all 3 of these plans, specifically as it relates to promoting housing diversity and promoting growth and cluster development to best preserve the environment. And again, there are multiple supporting policies and objectives from the comprehensive plan that support this amendment, specifically to protect resources while recognizing the existing community and developing in a way that is compatible with the residential pattern around it. Thank you, and we're available for any questions.
All right. Thank you. We had quite a few people sign up on this one, so I will start off online. We have Michelle Brooks. Is Michelle Brooks
Hello, good evening.
Hello. Just a reminder, 3 minutes. Please go ahead.
Okay, so I am opposed to this extension because of the fact that there's many subdivisions are coming up in this area, and we only have one lane or one-way traffic, and is commonly used for, you know, alternative routes because there's no other ways to navigate in this Gibson Riverview area with a growing population. So it will cause a strain on the commute. Already traffic it takes, you know, you can sit in traffic for up to hours to try to get to and from your house. So, you know, in time of, you know, transportation, getting to work, emergencies, whatever, I feel that these additional residents will be a hindrance to, you know, our area. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Next up, we have Lowell Gwynn. Is it present in the room? Is Lowell Gwynn here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, sorry.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me? Okay. Good evening. My name is Lowell Gwynn. I live at Bullfrog Creek Preserve, which is south of that lake we're speaking of. My house faces that big pond. It's beautiful. So, of course, I don't want it to go there, but here's what I'm here for. The area, as everyone stated already, is overpopulated with traffic. Bullfrog Creek Road, if you're going north on Bullfrog Creek Road to Sims Road, you can sometimes sit there 30 to 40 cars trying to make that left-hand turn to go down Sims Road 241. It's terrible. Plus, we got construction at the other end of Bullfrog Creek Road, which is the interchange for I-75 in Big Bend. On Sims Road, we have a K&B Homes section already being built right at this moment up across from Ventura, which was just built several years ago, which is huge. And then right west of that is another smaller Lennar homes that are being built in there. I'm not sure how many because I couldn't find it right away. So we have a lot of traffic there already. The second thing would be this. I've lived there for 4 years. I've traveled that road many times. It was a man-made lake. They took the dirt out for field dirt. And what I'm trying to get at is that if you can see, you know, I don't know how to do it anyway. On the map here, that's the southeast end when the storms come. When the storms come, Bullfrog Creek is in Gibsonton. It dumps into the bay there, so when the surge comes in, it comes down Bullfrog Creek, which parallels that property on the east side. So when it does that, I've got pictures that I could present or give to somebody if you need to see them, where the water in our neighborhood, we have a retention pond to the east of the neighborhood. Then there's another retention pond which fills up. We have had Bullfrog Creek and the retention ponds come together, where you can actually stand there and watch the water flow down Bullfrog Creek towards the bay as, you know, as the water starts to recede. I've seen water on the southeast end of that property also get some water in there. So those are the main points I'm considering. You know, we're in almost in a flood stage there now. So if that's built up, where's the water going to go? I mean, I don't know. It could be that we're going to get, not many people will get flooded out, but some, 5 or 6 houses. But that's what I'd like to direct to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gwynn. All right. Next up, we have, I have Ryan Manassi, but I don't know if that's right. No, okay. Okay. And Truitt and Addie were agents. I have Nathan Lee. Nope. Okay. All right. Well, that was it then. Did you want to respond?
Yes, good evening again, Addie Clark for the record. So in terms of transportation, we definitely understand, and that's why it's part of the requirement of this process for every comprehensive plan amendment to do a detailed transportation analysis, which our transportation engineer, Steve Henry with Links & Associates, has undergone in looking at the existing year scenario as well as all the way out to the 2045 transportation analysis year. And so staff found that approvable, knowing that there are multiple improvements that are planned in the area for parallel relief of Bullfrog Creek Road and others, as well as widening to 75 way out in the future year. Those have been looked at, and there has been adequate capacity that has been shown to exist there to hold this traffic from this development. But it is really, really important to note that our analysis actually showed that the proposed development and actually what can be built with the residential 9 category actually will generate fewer trips than what can be developed with the existing SMU category. So that exists today. And then in terms of the water that I believe Mr. Gordon had discussed, going through the PD rezoning application in that process will be extensive and very detailed reviews and analyses for water, flooding, everything of that sort. And so that will be looked at in great detail. And Trick Garner can continue.
I'll just add real quick, for the record, Addie is a traffic engineer, and so an expert in this. She's my secret weapon on this topic. And then, as she mentioned, of course, the stormwater will be a very big part of the rezoning request, not so much a part of this, but that will be something that obviously will have to be figured out and worked through as the PD proceeds. And with that, happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you very much. Over to our planning commissioners now for questions and discussions. Commissioner Handy.
Thank you. I've got a whole laundry list of confusion over this one, especially with the findings that staff had on the Sims Road parcel. It seems that so many of those same issues applies here. And just to mention the traffic real quick, because that's one of the things on my list. The traffic, the report that I read in the staff report said that over 1,400 new trips will be generated daily by this change in density. So we're talking an additional 366 units on 43 acres. I'm wondering how that's going to be clustered to protect natural resources. The environmental sustainability policy 3.5, I find that it was the same one that was cited for the Sims Road parcel, but we've got Bullfrog Creek going all the way through that parcel. It's an extremely important corridor, riverine connection to the north and the south. We've got the scrub preserve, the Golden Aster Scrub Preserve, immediately across I-75 to the west, that, just as an FYI, supports the one last remaining Florida scrub jay in all of Hillsborough County. I'm quite sure that this parcel was at one point a part of that scrub ecosystem before I-75 was built. So the Gibsonton Livable Communities element, the environmental objectives on sustainability, it calls for gradual transition, integration with adjacent uses. It calls for transportation and pedestrian connections. There are no bicycle or pedestrian facilities on Bullfrog Creek Road. So even though the 2045 plan may call for addressing all of these concerns with new daily trips, that's not what the residents are facing right now. And I think this could fall under the category of premature as far as the timing in adding this additional density. Under policy 6.2, it calls it calls for preserving mixed use per the concept plan. So from going to mixed use to primarily residential doesn't quite meet that, so I'm confused by that. And the only, to the east, is the only other residential 9 that's to the east of this parcel, between this parcel and 301. Everything else surrounding in every other direction is that mixed use 6. So yes, we would be expanding that residential 9 to the west, but it is not necessarily compatible with everything else in that immediately surrounding area. So that's my laundry list, at least for starters, so I'll just stop with that. Thank you.
Did staff want to respond to any of that, or?
Sure. For the traffic, I did receive comments from the Community Infrastructure Planning Department, and they did state that the daily trips from what is approved on site now to what is proposed would decrease by 4,905 trips. That is the agency comments that we received. For the environmentally sensitive objective that you mentioned, yeah, I did mention that there is a potential for upland preservation that is determined at the rezoning stage at this point. I'd also like to point out that the site is under the clustering open space 50% overlay, so it's also subject to providing up to 50% of open space within future development, but that's also determined at the rezoning stage. Does that answer some of your questions, Commissioner?
Yes, thank you. I see exactly where you're talking about the daily trips, and that was the difference between what is being proposed and what's...
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Fernandez.
I'm looking at the FEMA flood map website. Half of this site is in a flood map, like the resident had said, flood area, including the lake. To me, it looks like a very small portion, couple acres that could be developed here. There's also a wetland between the flood zone and the pond. Looking at this site, I'm assuming we're just gonna have a really dense, small portion of the site developed. So that's just one concern. There's a major flood zone in the area. Second is traffic. It's the south part of the county, though. I'd mentioned a couple of weeks ago, when you only have 2 or 3 ways to access the major roads, we're going to keep having these traffic issues. That's not, the developer or the property owner's problem, but it's really the county's problem, but we're going to keep running into that. But my main concern is the flood zone on this property.
Thank you, Commissioner Fernandez. Did you want a response from staff on that, or you just mentioning
Yeah,
facts?
sure. I mean, there's a very large portion from Bullfrog Creek, and it's also indicated as a coastal flood zone. So that means storm surge comes up this creek. So you have storm surge on one side. The lake is also going to be flooding potentially, according to FEMA's flood map. So it's just, it's just a small island of developable land.
The staff report does reference that at least 73.85 acres of the 122 are in that man-made lake. So that leaves only, if all of the remainder was uplands, only 48 acres of uplands. And it sounds like, from the maps you're looking at, that more of that might be in floodplain or in additional wetlands. All of that will be evaluated through the rezoning, and absolutely, the numbers that Andrea showed were the maximum if everything was high and dry that could be built. So they will undoubtedly have to build a lot less than what was shown on the slides.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I just, I'm just looking at this, and I'm not an engineer, I'm a planner, but, where's the water going to go if they do, if it's upland, but now we have a significant rain event, a storm surge behind it, I'm not sure how they can mitigate that water when it's coming at the time, so that's my concern. No matter, right now, it's drainable land, right, and that's sort of what the upland preserve could be utilized there.
All right.
I also just would like to make a point of clarification that the site is not in the coastal high hazard area, just to make that clarification.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's why, if you know my stance on the coastal high hazard area, my concern here is it's a FEMA flood zone. So it's just it's a different, so it's an AE, meaning that they could have some storm surge there. But besides the storm surge, it's also vastly covered with an A.
All right. Are there any more questions or discussions? Thoughts on this one from the commissioners? Commissioner Handy.
Yeah, I have another question for Andrea. Under the SMU 6, what, and your findings with the traffic, what would, I guess this, it says here, office uses, research, corporate park, light industrial. So probably not residential, or it would be a mix of residential and those uses?
Suburban mixed-use 6 still allows residential development.
Okay.
It's just up to 6 dwelling units per acre as opposed to the proposed, which would be 9 dwelling units per acre.
Okay. And from what I was studying, and you're way better at this than I am, the Gibsonton plan calls for preserving the mixed-use category versus putting too much, I guess they're looking for some job creation, I guess, instead of just all residential and all urban sprawl, dare I say it. Could you maybe address that for me?
So the residential 9 still allows suburban scale commercial on site. So you are still allowed to do commercial uses and residential, which would still get a mix of uses. It just comes down to what's proposed at the rezoning stage.
Okay, so it just allows more residential.
For this plan amendment, it will allow more residential and more commercial because the FAR goes from a 0.25 to a 0.50.
Got it. Thank you.
The other big change I would say is that the suburban mixed-use 6 allows light industrial uses that the residential 9 would not.
All right, were there any more questions or discussion items from the commissioners? Commissioner Soria.
I just wanted to add this comment about the traffic. The table is a little bit confusing. It says net change of minus 4,900. But actually, if you look at the other tables, it increases the traffic volume, just something to consider. If you look at the proposed impact on adjacent future year road, traffic volume is increasing. And it's also based on Big Bend, not on the Bullfrog Creek Road. So it's considering the adjacent road as well, but on Bullfrog Creek Road, like there is a net increase on traffic. Just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Did you want to respond or clarify?
I mean, these comments were received from the Community Infrastructure Planning Department, and we go based off their analysis. And I think someone from that department's on the phone online if you would like a further explanation.
I mean, if you do, I do see Anthony is on the WebEx. If he would like to explain that a little further, that might be helpful.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Anthony Vallone from Community and Infrastructure Planning, and I don't have the benefit of my traffic engineer here this evening, but I believe what was submitted was fairly accurate, and I wasn't really completely, I was a little unsure of the question, if the Commissioner could repeat his question, because I kind of missed the first part of it.
My question was on the table, and they say the net change was minus 4,900 daily trips.
Of our report or of the applicants?
It's the staff analysis of traffic impact.
One moment.
It's on page number 45, I believe.
Thank you. And this is based on our review of of the applicant submitted, Links and Associates. Table 1, or which table are you referring to, sir?
Table 1-1. So my question was, it's based on the expansion of the adjacent road, is that correct?
This is anticipated traffic. The expansion of the roadway would be in table 1-3, which would be the impact on future year roadway network.
Okay, and in that case, it says available capacity is negative. So does that mean,
Well, what happens with the roadway is with the SMU 6 category, you're looking at a whole bunch of uses, and I don't work for Melissa, so I'm not going to say that I really hate SMU 6, but I do, because what it does present us with a lot of different uses. Commercial uses have probably the highest trip generation of the other uses. The residential uses, if you would imagine, based on how many folks live in one home, have a lot less of an impact. So that's probably why you're seeing the drop in the net change, because you're taking away a lot of that commercial. The industrial is probably negligible, but it's the commercial that really makes the big difference, and that's why you see such a drop. And I think the applicant could probably speak to this as well, their traffic engineer. But from what I've my discussions with my traffic engineer, that is what I understood.
perfect. Thank you for the clarification. That helps a lot.
You're welcome. Nice meeting you guys.
Can I ask another question while we have
please,
him?
go ahead.
Why do you hate SMU 6? And why? Because my limited understanding.
It seems like a catch-all. It's very, very permissive, and it's a lot of different uses that are allowed, and it makes it a little bit more. It's also a mixed-use category for this particular spot. Seems kind of strange.
So if my understanding is that the change to Res 9 would allow residential and the same mixed uses, and maybe I have that wrong, it's not the same mixed uses, it's just some commercial. Can you clarify that for me, please?
I think this is a question for our land use planners over there. I don't want to take away Andrea's thunder.
Well, thank you. Yes, so urban scale commercial would be permitted. Suburban scale commercial would no longer be permitted on site. So you could still have commercial on site. And that scale refers to our commercial locational criteria policies and the number of feet you can be from an intersection.
And Melissa, I think you said no light industrial, which was there before.
Right, that is allowed under the SMU 6, the light
Okay.
industrial, and that's what Anthony's talking about. It kind of allows everything.
Everything, okay.
And is hard to plan for.
Understood, thank you.
All righty, were there any more questions or discussion items? Points to be made by the commissioners. Commissioner Bernstein shaking his head. In that case, I will go on ahead and close public comment on this item and open it up to motions from the commissioners on this item. Anyone? Commissioner Soria.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to propose HCCPA 22-20, 12398 Bullfrog Creek Road, consistent with staff findings, and would like to put the motion forward.
All right, we have a motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Soria. Is there a second? Commissioner Bernstein, sorry.
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Soria. Second to that motion by Commissioner Bernstein. Are there any more comments, clarifications needed from the commissioners? Not seeing any, then I will ask the clerk to go ahead and do a roll call vote on that item.
Bernstein?
Yes.
Bowden?
No.
Hernandez?
No.
Handy?
No.
Kress?
Yes.
Lauk?
Yes.
Soria?
Yes.
Joseph?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Motion carried 5-3. Commissioners Bowden, Fernandez, and Handy voted no.
All right, thank you very much. All righty, on to our last item of business. It is 2F, HCCPA 22-21, Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, 2244 University Square Mall, and the presenter is Andrea Pappendrew.
Andrea Pappendrew with your Planning Commission staff. This is HCCPA 22-21, 2244 University Square Mall. This is a privately initiated small-scale map amendment. The site is approximately 6.67 acres. The request is to go from the residential 20 and urban mixed-use 20 to the innovation corridor mixed-use 35. The site is in the urban service area and the University Area Community Plan. The site is also just north of the City of Tampa boundary. Subject site is outlined in red before you. It is north of East Fowler Avenue and is part of the University Square Mall. The site is surrounded mainly by light and heavy commercial uses, including on Fowler Avenue. North and west of the mall is multifamily, HOA land, group homes, and public institutional uses. East of the mall is light commercial multifamily, and northeast is single-family residential. This is looking south towards the subject site, the Burlington Coat Factory. This is looking south of the amendment site on East Fowler Avenue towards the University Square Mall. This is looking east towards Club Drive. The Hillsborough County Property Appraiser does have this area to the east as light and heavy commercial uses. Although staff did a field visit, as you can see, there is some multifamily residential on site. And this is looking north of the subject site. The building in the corner is an auto repair. Further north over the tree line is multifamily, public institutional, some single family in the northeast, and group homes. And this is looking west of the subject site towards the University Square Mall. So the blue dashed line on the map shows the City of Tampa boundary. So for the unincorporated Hillsborough County, the adopted future land use classifications are residential 20 and urban mixed use 20. Surrounding the site is the innovation corridor mixed use 35. To the north of the site is residential 20, and along Fowler Avenue is office commercial 20. For the City of Tampa future land use categories, south of Fowler Avenue is community commercial 35, residential 35, a couple of pockets of public, semi-public, and residential 10. Then to the east, across Bruce B. Downs Boulevard, is public, semi-public, residential, heavy industrial and light industrial. The proposal before you today is to go the innovation corridor mixed use 35. Oh. My apologies, I did not do that.
I think we just lost the video host. You may have to. How far were you from the end of your presentation?
Okay.
Let's see. Lionel, hold on, I'll type in the password.
Okay.
Where it went, though.
Did we lose the connection to L? We lost the connection to L.
Lionel's remoting in.
Yeah, it says we need an administrator.
Can you get to to Faro in the podium folder on Faro through the internet?
I think so. Well, is he? Lionel's doing something.
Okay.
Yeah, let Lionel, I guess, do it.
I already got that covered. Like a half an hour ago, I covered that.
Yeah, thank you. I have the Elmo on, please.
Can we get the Elmo on
Can we
HTV?
get the Elmo on?
There we go.
Apologies for that. So moving to the Innovation Quarter Mixed Use 35 category, would increase density on site. I think this is an old copy of the presentation because that's actually, I'm just gonna make that change. Approximately 232 units, and it would increase intensity on site up to approximately 581,090 square feet. If approved, biomedical research, institutional, and hospitals would be permitted, and neighborhood commercial would no longer be permitted on site. For the portion of land that is residential 20, the regional scale retail commercial, business park, research corporate park, and light industrial uses would also be permitted on site. That is where that ends. That's okay. The plan amendment site is consistent with the comprehensive plan. New developments are required to demonstrate compatibility with the surrounding area per policy 1.4 of the future land use element update. And I'm getting the presentation back online. I apologize again.
There we go.
So it is consistent with the following comprehensive plan objectives and policies, specifically 1.4, in which new developments are required to demonstrate compatibility with the surrounding area. Policy 16.3 states that development and redevelopment shall be integrated with adjacent land uses through the creation of like and complementary uses. Per objective 12-1, new development should be designed in a way that is compatible with the established character of the surrounding neighborhoods. So the subject site is in a location consistent with the intent of the Innovation Quarter Mixed Use 35 designation. It's surrounded by this future land use category and is part of the existing University Mall site. There we go. It is also consistent with the University Area Community Plan, specifically Goal 5 that states the urban infill and redevelopment area, economic development and job creation will be promoted. The plan amendment site is within the urban infill and redevelopment area, and it's part of the University Square Mall, which will provide jobs and economic development. Based on this, Planning Commission staff recommends that the proposed map amendment be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you. I'm available for any questions.
Does the applicant have a presentation?
In the interest of time, if you'll just put us back on the Elmo. Elise Batzel, 401 East Jackson Street, for the record, on behalf of the applicant, RD Development. So, super background for those of you who weren't here when we came through for the original comprehensive plan for the University Mall redevelopment. We created, in conjunction with staff, a new category, which was ICMU 35. And the idea was to create this more urban area, mixed-use area. And when we originally came in for that comprehensive plan amendment, the applicant did not have control of the Burlington site. But now they do own it. So this is really just filling the whole end of the donut and having the Burlington property be consistent with everything that's surrounding it. Our whole team is here to answer any questions, and with that, I will defer to you.
Thank you,
so
Ms.
much for your
Batzel.
time.
We had one individual sign up, David Smith, for public comment. Okay. So then no one left. We will turn it over to the commissioners for comments, questions, or discussions on this item. Commissioner Bernstein?
Yeah, I would just say that if the applied use was giving rise to 233 units, I might have an issue with it, but 232, I think I could live with.
Good point, Commissioner Bernstein. Good catch. All right. Are there any more comments or questions from the commissioner? Oh, sorry, Commissioner Lauk.
Kudos to Andrea. Pro's pro. You got your boss, you got your other staff firing away instant messaging, technology's breaking, and you got through it. Good stuff.
All right. Are there any more comments or questions, discussions on this item? Not seeing any at this time. I will go on ahead and close the public comment on this item and open it up to motions from the commissioners. Commissioner Bernstein?
At this time, Mr. Chair, I would move that we find HCCPA 22-21 consistent with the goals, policies, and objectives of the Hillsborough Comprehensive Plan, and that we pass it along to the Hillsborough Board of County Commissioners for their consideration.
Commissioner Lauk?
Second.
All right, we have a motion of consistency by Commissioner Bernstein, a second to that motion by Commissioner Lauk. Are there any more questions or clarifications, comments from the commissioners? Not seeing any, then I will ask the clerk to go ahead and do a roll call vote on this item.
Bernstein,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Fernandez,
Yes.
Handy,
Yes.
Kress,
Yes?
Lauk,
Yes.
Surya,
Yes.
Joseph.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 8-0.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you to the applicants, thank you to staff, everyone who labored through the night with us. That is it for us, our last action item. So this meeting is adjourned at 8:40 p.m. Good night, everyone, and Happy New Year.